What is going on, everybody? We are back.
We're back.
We're doing another episode of this show that somehow hasn't died yet. People keep wanting to come back and do it every week. I'm very excited. I'm very tired. The smallest thing is probably going to set off a rant today. It's because I went to bed at 5 a.m. and got up 20 minutes ago. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one today.
It's going to be fun.
Are you slightly worried?
A little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little worried. I'm really a little bit worried, but this is going to be fun. So please, yeah, this is going to be fun.
Let's bring in the guests.
Yeah, let's just bring in our first guest. As usual, we are joined by the wonderful Jesse Swift, who is by himself today. But Jesse, how are you?
I'm doing great. Lauren's here in spirit. She exists in the space. She's probably like 20 feet from me right now. So we might get some guest appearances from time to time for her to say why everyone's wrong.
That's fair.
Love that.
As always, we are also joined by the wonderful Marisol McKee. Hello. How are you today?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling awesome. It's a good night. It's Sunday night where I am, and it's been a great day.
Yes, it has. And as always, we are also joined by Miss Mara Canopic. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have a cat. Hold on, you can hear him.
Whenever we have cats show up on the stream, you know it's going to be a great time.
Yes.
This is a cat channel.
And we are also joined by a faction mate of Mara. In his first appearance on this show, we have Mr. Robert Parker.
Hello, long-time listener, first-time caller. Thanks for having me on. Really, I'm just here to listen to Sir Pounce because he's my best friend in the world, and I miss him.
That's true. He misses you too.
Well, I think we should start this one off with a bit of a bang.
All right, let's do it.
And Robert, I'm going to let you be the first one. As you are, this is your first episode. I'm going to let you pick first. We have Star Wars A New Hope versus Lord of the Rings, the animated 1978 film. Robert, where are you going with your vote?
So ultimately, I think the vote's going to go to Star Wars A New Hope. Although for the Backstreet Lord of the Rings, there's a lot of really great stuff in that movie. Just because it's like the story of Lord of the Rings and like the world building. It's a really good adaptation of the book. Like it is very well done. But there are parts of the movie that are just nightmare fuel. Like the rotoscope animation is awful, and Sam gets done so dirty. So like there are some really awful parts of that movie, and then there are some really, really high points. Whereas, I mean, New Hope is A New Hope. It's just so consistent. It holds up. The story is great. The music is iconic. Yeah. Gotta be New Hope for me.
All right. Jesse.
I'm fine. How are you? New Hope is a fantastic film. It's up there with one of those movies that I've watched the most amount of times. Lord of the Rings has a special place in my heart because when the original, or not the original, but the live action movies came out, Peter Jackson films, my parents would not let me watch them at that age because they thought that they were too dark. But for some reason, whenever I visited my grandma, she had the animated Lord of the Rings movie. So this is how I was absorbing Lord of the Rings content for like 4 or 5 years. So it's got a special place. Sam was done very dirty. I want to give it the respect it deserves for making a valid attempt. I recommend everybody, if you get a chance, look at Nostalgia Critics video, Old versus New. They do one on the Lord of the Rings. And he actually makes several points to where he thought that Bakshi actually did better than Jackson in some elements. So I think it's an interesting point. But all in all, New Hope is the vote.
Marisol.
I just gotta be honest. I like to be diplomatic a lot, but context that I saw Bakshi's adaptation after I saw the Jackson films, and it's really tough to top that. Even I can be objective enough and try to separate them, and I do appreciate Bakshi for tackling the epic long before when it was a big risk. You know, even Jackson's was a risk. So tackling it back then was even more of a risk. I get it. I get it. I just the rotoscoping is just so painful. I agree with everybody giving it the benefit of the doubt, but for me, I am less kind on it. I am less kind on it. I'm not a fan. Ugly animation in a film, in an animated film, dude, it's hard to come back from that for me. But that doesn't matter because I'm picking A New Hope. Because duh. I mean, it kicked off the most popular space franchise of all time. One of the most popular properties of all time. And the fun was just beginning. And I have nothing more to say that hasn't been said for decades about A New Hope. It kicked off the series, The World in the Right Way, pulled you in, whether you even care about space adventure or not. It pulls you in because it's excellent storytelling, just fundamental, excellent storytelling. So definitely A New Hope is my vote.
All right. And Mara?
Chaos shall not reign for me at this moment. I've been waiting the whole time, though, to talk about this movie, just because I only want to say one simple thing. To me, one of the most beautiful pieces of music written since like the composers of old is the Sunset on Tatooine. That musical cue just like punches me in the heart, and it's so incredibly beautiful. I find it thoroughly enjoyable. I listen to it sometimes just to listen to it because I don't want to say it gets me emotional because I don't know if that's the right word, but it's very stimulating in a really warm and fuzzy kind of way. So A New Hope, done.
Taylor?
Yeah, this one is pretty easy for me. The first 3 Star Wars films are some of the first films I have memories with. It kind of really kicked off why I enjoy movies. And I just can't, like, there would be nothing that the animated Lord of the Rings could have done for me that would have dethroned it. So that's what I'm going with.
All right. Well, with that, Star Wars A New Hope moves on. All right. Let's move on to our next one. We have Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban versus the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian.
Son of a...
Mara, I'm going to start. Mara, yeah, I'm going to start with you.
Prince Caspian's fine. It's fine. It's certainly no Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but man, I really, really love Prisoner of Azkaban. It has one of my absolute favorite moments in the whole series when they just have that little tiny giveaway for the people that were reading books and were ahead of the films. When Snape instinctively shields the children, which I was so excited to share that moment with Robbie Parker, but he passed out on the sofa right over there, and I watched it alone. While I made him cookies that he was too drunk to
I
eat.
can neither confirm nor deny the details of any operation without the Secretary's approval.
Excellent Mission Impossible reference. I could talk a long time about this, but I'd actually much rather hear our most diehard Harry Potter fan, little Robbie Parker, talk about this next, or at some point. So,
I am going to go give it over to Robert Parker. So, what are
I
your
love
thoughts?
Prince Caspian. I love that movie so much. Both of the first 2 Narnia movies, I think, are like both properly excellent, especially on the Witch of the Wardrobe. But Prince Caspian is really, really, really good. And if it was going up against almost anything else tonight, I probably would have voted for it. I think Ben Barnes is actually really good in that role. I think the villain swap is really good. You get to a lot more of the, Peter and Susan are a little bit more grown up. They have to make a little bit more adult decisions. The romance between Susan and Caspian is actually really handled pretty well. But I mean, Prisoner of Azkaban is a Harry Potter movie, and I'll never not vote against one of those because for a lot of people, Star Wars may have been the franchise or the movie that got them into loving movies. For me, it was Harry Potter. It got me into just like culture, like books, movies, whatever it is. Something that you can talk about with somebody else who also loves it, and that can't be overstated how important that series is for me. Although I will say, I think Prisoner of Azkaban of the original Harry Potter movies might be the one I like rewatching the least. I think it's one of the best, but I don't go back to it as often as I do the others. And yeah, I mean, everything from the Dementors being filmed in actual water to David Thewlis like actually screaming because somebody like shined a light in his eye with the weird contacts in. Like there's just so many little moments in Prisoner of Azkaban that are just perfect from the acting to the storytelling, whatever it is. So you got to go Prisoner of Azkaban.
All right, Jesse.
Any movie where Malfoy gets punched square in the face is an auto 10. And I had to, I don't know if the vote counts for this round, but I had to console with my better half. And I asked her, and she said Prince Caspian gets points for moisture, but Azkaban's her favorite Harry Potter film. So there's a potential Azkaban vote, and I have to follow suit with her. It's one of the better ones. I really have a hard time with the design choice that they had for the werewolf. And there's so much practical elements of Harry Potter that ages very well. I think the werewolf doesn't do great. And that is kind of a pivotal moment in it. So it's not my favorite Harry Potter, but it's in the top 3, I think. So that's good enough to beat Prince Caspian, I think.
All right.
Go ahead. You can retake over the show.
Sorry. Well, how about you? We'll go to you next.
Sure. I think this is a pretty easy one for me. As much as I did enjoy the Chronicles of Narnia films when I was younger, when they came out, but I don't think I've ever actually revisited any of them other than The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Probably should do that just because I would be interested to see how I react to them now after so much time has passed. But I do think that Prisoner of Azkaban is one of the better Harry Potter films, although I love most of them pretty equally. Like, I don't really have a Harry Potter film where I'm like, ugh, you have to go to Fantastic Beasts movies to get me to do that. But yeah, I think this one is one of the ones that probably sticks with me the most. They're just imagery-wise, some of the choices that are made of how this is presented. Once again, like Jesse said, I think it was Jesse, I don't know. Somebody said, if Malfoy gets punched in the face, hilarious, great stuff. Like, yeah, this is a pretty easy one for me.
All right, Marisol.
Yeah, I'll join with Parker in that. Prince Caspian is my favorite of the Narnia movies. I think it took the next step after the first one. It's darker, it's more complex. The first one is more comfortably like a family adventure. It evolved the way the books evolved. You know, it's instantly a darker, more complex, more political. They're introducing a power struggle. And yeah, Barnes is a great Prince Caspian. I really enjoy Prince Caspian. And I think that it unfairly, like I think that it's worth revisiting for a lot of people who said, like, initially, I know it was like thrown under the rug being worse than the first one, but like or people say the Narnia films get worse as they go. They absolutely don't, as far as I'm concerned. And I do think Prince Caspian is actually the one worth revisiting the most. Even though the first one is still really solid. Prince Caspian would beat a lot of films, I'm sure, in this bracket. There's a short list of films that is no way in a million years is going to beat for me, and it's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is the crown jewel of the Potter series for me. This is my absolute favorite Harry Potter film. It's from my second favorite director of all time, and he is just the breath of fresh air that kept the Potter series thriving and alive by taking the chances with new directors and taking a chance with such a visionary director like Cuarón. This is exactly what it needed. This is just a perfect Potter movie for me. Not a flawless film, but a perfect Potter film for me. If that makes sense. And just restored just the whimsy and genuine mischief and magic, and abandon the sense of safety that the Columbus films have. And I love the messy parts. I love the really awkward parts. I love the awkward acting. I love the pauses as you know, as Watson and Radcliffe and Grint are learning how to act a little bit better. They're growing up and they're becoming better actors. You see it on screen right before our eyes, and Azkaban's where they really made that first jump. And I just adore this movie. I can't say enough amazing things about it. It's a perfect Potter movie. It wins 1,000% over Prince Caspian. Even though Prince Caspian is great.
Can I gush about Prisoner of Azkaban for like 2 more seconds? I'm so
Sure.
sorry. I'll go quick. I'll shut up during all the other. I just want to talk about this one more. So it also works so well, like Marisol was saying, because they took time to mature the cast. This movie didn't come out 1 year after Chamber of Secrets. It came out 2 after, and you can really tell not only they're maturing as actors, but they physically are maturing more.
Mhm.
And what else? I forgot what I was going to say something else too, but yeah. Oh, the Peter Pettigrew twist is actually like it holds up really, really well, and the foreshadowing that they do about that is just peak storytelling. All right, I'm done now. Sorry.
No, you're good.
All right.
It's not flawless. Like I do think, speaking of Pettigrew, I do think that whole shrieking Shrek scene is just so rushed and leaves
Not you're right. Okay.
It leaves people who have never read the books completely in the dark. Like I just think it's such a rushed scene, that shrieking Shrek scene. That would be like the thing I would change the most about the film, is how breakneck that scene is. That it diminishes the impact of some of the reveals and some of the stuff in there. But otherwise, like I said, not a flawless film, but a perfect Potter film for me.
Can everyone at home just try to say shrieking shack scene like 5 times fast?
All right, let's move on to our next one. We have Bloodshot versus Big Hero 6. Jesse, I'm going to start with you.
Lauren will be so pleased that her pride and joy is safe, because she said in advance, if anything happens to Big Hero 6, she will riot. And I know I can guarantee at least one vote besides me against Bloodshot, Taylor. What's funny is I was looking at my AMC stubs because I have A-list, and you can track like movies that you went and saw. And so I was like, what's the last movie I saw before I started being able to see movies again? And it was Bloodshot. I was like, I really started the pandemic off by seeing Bloodshot and then had movie drought for like a year or so. That's rough. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but the trailers made it look like maybe it could be a little bit better than I thought it would be, but it sure wasn't. What a disappointment. Big Hero 6 is perfectly pleasant, a little predictable, but a good time, and I enjoyed it very much. It's a fast departure from the source material, but you know what? It ran with it, it knew what it was, and it is a charming superhero flick, much aligned with like things like Incredibles. So I'm going to give it all the points in the world. Big Hero 6 for me.
All right. Marisol?
This is actually I guess a closer one than it should be. I'm not won over by Big Hero 6 the way I know the majority of people are. I found it. I never read the source material. I just found it slightly. I find it slightly derivatives are too aggressive of a word, but I just found so many familiar elements when I watched this Disney adaptation of it. I was like, oh, that's like in T2. Oh, that's like in The Incredibles. Oh, that's like in The Iron Giant. Like I just saw so many familiar elements in the film that just kind of all get put into this melting pot. I think it's decent. I'm just not like completely over the moon about it. I do think it is certainly solid enough effort. I do get why a lot of people really do love it. But it's not a very memorable film for me in the long run. I've seen so many better animated films in this last decade. It doesn't matter though, because it's still, even in my middling kind of opinion of it, it still beats Bloodshot. No question. Bloodshot sucks. It does. It's messy. It's joyless. It's, again, another movie that's trying to be kind of trying to fit into more generic action movie mold than it needed to. And I just don't think Vin Diesel was the right casting choice. No, Big Hero 6. Not by a whole extreme amount, but definitely Big Hero 6 is my vote.
Can I interject one sentence? Because when she said that Vin Diesel was not the right choice, sorry. Do you guys know who was trying so hard to be Bloodshot?
No.
Jason David Frank from Power Rangers.
Really?
He did a full mock-up.
That would have been cool.
They filmed like a fan film with him. He did the costume. He said he was a fan of the source material. He'd been reading variant comics and stuff. And then he talked about when his heart was absolutely crushed when Vin Diesel was cast. So there's that.
It would have been a better choice.
Pour one out.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Do you want to talk about this movie?
Bloodshot is why we can't have nice things, Jacob. Oh, God. I don't even... Okay, the stupid thing is we watched Bloodshot because we were like, like it's... What else are we
pretty sure
gonna do?
PJ had it for free and we went, it's free, let's just watch it.
It's fine. Someone owns this movie, so we might... Or rented this something. Whatever.
Yeah.
We had access to the movie where we didn't have to pay for it. So we watched it. And I was like, oh... This is just really boring. Like, there's visually some of it's kind of cool, but just really like I'm not. I've seen Big Hero 6 a couple of times. I think it's fun. I think it's cute. It's not a movie that's like in my top tier that I'm gonna revisit all the time. But honestly, Bloodshot had the audacity to give us Vin Diesel in that role, had the audacity to be boring as hell, and then also had the audacity to come for me personally. No, absolutely not. Yeah, you probably could have put anything up against this movie, and I would have been like, no, next.
Mara.
I cede my time to Taylor. Continue talking about this. One thing I'll say though is, man, hearing that Jason David Frank thing really bums me out because look at somebody who campaigned hard for a role because they love the source material and how good it came out with Henry Cavill and The Witcher. Like, so that just makes me wonder what could have been even more, because when someone has a passion for something, then you're going to get their best work. And I mean, Vin Diesel just grumbles about family and like that's all he does anymore. So color me bored. So any of the rest of my time goes back to Taylor. So Big Hero 6, charming.
Well, with that, Big Hero 6 moves on.
For an extra vote, tell me the name of the airbase.
I can, but I'm not going to do that to you.
Do you know it now, or did you know?
Oh, no one knew it then. Are you joking? That's the worst question ever asked in the history of Intergeekdom, and I stand by that statement.
That's probably true.
Oh God! All right, let's get away from this immediately.
Okay.
Let's leave it behind.
I would have
Let's
voted
go.
the same, by the way. Big Hero 6.
Oh, sorry. I thought I
you're
went
good.
to you.
No,
Okay.
you're totally fine. I don't have much to add.
This is welcome to the show. You are now a member of the show because I've forgotten to go to you.
Wonderful.
Once
Glad
you've
to be here.
forgotten ones, including
We've all been
me.
done once.
Once
Okay.
you-
I'm pretty sure you forgot yourself on the opening one. So,
I've kind of. I come in as a tiebreaker if I need
see.
to.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want these going for 3.5 hours. So.
like the last two episodes.
All right. Next up. Oh, actually, Parker, I'm going to get you to start because we have another Harry Potter movie.
Ooh.
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince versus Catwoman.
So I think Catwoman is really unique in the sense that it's garbage. But some garbage is like different from other garbage, and you're like, that's a special piece of garbage because it's like super garbagey. It's super garbage. That's Catwoman, and Half-Blood Prince might be in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. It's my favorite Harry Potter movie, even if it's not the best. It's probably the furthest from the books as far as, faithfulness of the adaptation. But I love Half-Blood Prince so much. I think it's Michael Gambon really doing something special. I think it's his best movie. I think the dynamic between him and Harry is just so wonderful, especially after Order of the Phoenix, where they don't interact very much. You see Harry and Hermione's relationship and their friendship blossom more than ever. I understand the criticisms that it just becomes, sort of an angsty romance movie for a little bit, and it does, but the book does too. So I love the hunting of Horcruxes. I like the looking into Tom Riddle's past. I love everything with Slughorn. Jim Broadbent is just knocking out of the park every second he's on screen. The Snape stuff is super interesting. I mean, Half-Blood Prince is just wonderful. Harry and Ginny's relationship, Ron and Romilda, like knowing that he loves Hermione, it's so good. And every Harry Potter movie, I'm going to do one quote. So I think this is the last one. But the quote from this one that I always say is, farewell, Aragog, king of the arachnids. And then Jim Broadbent just fucking goes for it. And he goes, your body will decay, but your spirit And he just goes for it. And I love this movie. So Half-Blood Prince easily. And Catwoman, what can you say? Basketball.
I will say I'm glad I got you on for this episode because there's actually 3 Harry Potter movies in this
go.
in this round. So I got you on for the right episode. I just want to real quickly address something that Ben Goddard said in the chat, which is this: he feels like this was the one that Michael Gambon finally got it of how to be Dumbledore. I kind of agree with that, and I don't really know if I could have seen Richard Harris do this movie. This is the one that I don't know if Richard Harris could have done it. He could have done every other one, but this one, I think.
I don't think he could do Order of the Phoenix either. I think he's way too soft and lovable and wears his heart on his sleeve. And in Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore has to be cold. He needs to push Harry away. He cannot be lovable. He can't be desired. Like, you can't want to have a relationship.
I think that's why Richard Harris might have worked better for that one, because you would have really felt it. You would have I think maybe. Because Gambon's been cold, it's believable. But anyway,
that's fair.
We're gonna separate you two and let you have your
but I'm going to go now over to Mara because you just did a screening of Catwoman.
We did 24 hours ago. And oh boy, I love this movie. It's just so terrible. Like, it's incomprehensible from a structural standpoint and editing. It's just so bad. Like, not so bad it's good, but I just love the discomfort that you get from watching it. It's so bad. Oh, let's accessorize. What a line. What a great thing for female empowerment that movie was. I agree with every single thing Robbie said about this movie. I think there's probably a decent amount of people that think Half-Blood Prince is their favorite. I struggle with my favorite moves all the time, but I think as far as the movie that every time after I watch it at the very end, I'm just like, man, this is a Harry Potter movie. Because I mean, I'm all about faithful adaptations if it's the right decision, but I think it was the right decision not to be. And I think that if they'd kept in some of the extra elements, it would have felt really, really bloated. So, and I think the actors are honestly like at their peak, really, because there's just so much to do. Even with teenage angsty drama, it's literally what teenagers do. Like, come on, we all had angsty drama
16,
and we all like people and we all got our hearts broken. So I like it. I think it's real.
Yeah, I really love the last 4 Harry Potter movies are, to me, like, because Deathly Hallows is so obviously one story, it's a really great final trilogy of like, this is the quest to defeat Voldemort, whereas in the first 4 are building up the world of who Harry is and his world, and there's this threat kind of coming, and then in the 4th one he's finally there, and then you get the trilogy at the end. Jesse, I'm going to go to you.
Can I give my vote to Lauren since she has more passionate feelings? Sure.
I mean, she could also have voted anyway, but
okay. Well, sure. If we're gonna do 2 votes, then I'll still throw mine in there. I am here for the Halle Berry got milk ads in all magazines that year, and the fact that she won a Razzie and an Oscar, I believe, for Monsters Ball, if I'm not mistaken. And
that was like the year before.
It was the year before.
3
years. The only one who's ever done it the same year is Sandra Bullock.
Oh, my mistake. I mean, you know,
you're close. Yeah.
Benjamin Bratt just really was in this movie. It's so dumb, and Half-Blood Prince is pretty darn good, and that's why I wanted Lauren to talk about these movies. That's all.
Okay,
my
let's let Lauren talk about it.
Okay. Lauren?
Oh, hi. I'm just here for a little bit. But I love Half-Blood Prince. It's one of my favorites, which I think is funny because Daniel Radcliffe hates it so much. But I think he was wonderful in this one. I thought it was kind of a little bit of a return to the more whimsical nature of the earlier films. and it had a balance of kind of the dark and gritty battle that they're up against, and I thought it worked really, really well. Michael Gambon softened a little bit, which was necessary. Dumbledore's not a mean, grumpy man. He's a little questionable sometimes, but he's not.
Seems questionable to me.
He's not an angry guy. I remember watching Half-Blood Prince opening night at midnight, and it was just such a fun experience. I love that movie. Catwoman is hot garbage.
It is hot garbage, though.
She is hot, but the film is
Emphasis on the garbage.
I rest my case. It's definitely Half-Blood Prince.
Patience Phillips, where do you get that from? Like, they're like, we're gonna make a Catwoman movie. There's only been one known
Her initials
Catwoman.
are PP.
That's true. Her initials are PP, so that's fun.
Marisol.
I guess this is happening. I have said before, like, I guess I'm gonna be that person. I might have the opposite. I guess, especially with you, Robert, I might have the complete opposite Harry Potter take on the series. I'm a diehard Potter fan who thinks that Half-Blood Prince is the absolute weakest of the series. It's not even close. And it is the most disappointing adaptation of all of them for me, for many reasons. One, this is a film where Yates and God, I can't even remember who the cinematographer is, but just out of control with the filter and the glow overs, everything's so murky and dark. And somebody just fell asleep at the computer in the editing room and just left filters on everything and the entire film. It was just too much. I felt like I was looking at this entire movie. I always feel like I'm looking through Half-Blood Prince to the bottom of like a colored glass. Like it drives me crazy. It's just so overdone. It's so oversaturated with those effects and just the look of the film. After effects, because that's not what it looked like when you filmed it. But on top of that, it's unforgivable the way they botched Snape. The Half-Blood Prince reveal should have meant something. Half-Blood Prince should have been more prominent in the film. Snape is a backbone of the entire series. His relationship with Harry and he's the unsung hero of the entire series. And this should have been Harry caught up in the identity of the Half-Blood Prince and following him through that book should have been a much more prominent and important thing in those films. That should have been right alongside with him learning more about Voldemort through the entire film. And it should have mattered when Snape is like, "It is I, the Half-Blood Prince." Nobody cared in the movie when that happened. It was such a throwaway moment that had no weight. My complaint about Yates with his films is that the deaths are muted. And Dumbledore's death, one of the most crushing deaths in the series. I think that only until Dobby's death did Yates finally get a death right. I think Sirius's death was a little more oddly like muted than it should have been, and Dumbledore's absolutely. I don't think Yates got a tragic character death right until Dobby, honestly. But I'm not just going to rant about Half-Blood Prince. It is absolutely the weakest Harry Potter film. It is my least favorite to revisit. I think that ties into the fact that it's one of my I think also least favorite books. But the problems that I have with the film adaptation just stand as everything I said. Catwoman, I've said before on the show that when we were talking about Batman and Robin, it's really important to recognize when a film is so bad that it becomes like pop culture treasure. Like it's like the shit is just so shiny that like it's almost like it becomes like a valuable piece of shit. And Catwoman has the distinction of being maybe one of the worst films ever made. And it is so entertaining. It reaches like Batman and Robin. When a movie is that tacky and this garish and tacky and silly, the entertainment value in rewatching it just rockets up. For some reason. And I know it's controversial and I don't really care. I cannot bring myself to vote for my least favorite Harry Potter movie. But I can bring myself to vote for a movie that I think is so ridiculous and so bad. And it has not left our pop culture, like our brains. It is so staple and such a permanent part of pop culture for all the wrong reasons and so infamous. That gives it, that's something valuable too. And as one of the shining examples of how to do a superhero movie absolutely incorrect and wrong, I'm actually going to give Catwoman my vote.
All right.
I know it's not gonna win, but I got my little soapbox.
I love it. I love it. You're gonna have a really fun round the next round though. So next time we go through, you're gonna have a fun one. All right.
Who are we going to next?
Who have I forgotten? I forget you again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry.
It's all right. It's part of the show.
I know.
It's how it goes. I just want to because we there's a lot this round that I don't feel very passionate about. I do want to whenever Harry Potter comes up, because I don't think anything it's any of them have gone against at this point have really crushed me. I've seen Catwoman once. I think it was last year. I don't really remember anything from it. Like, I kind of wish I did, because it is so, like, somehow still so pop culturally relevant. People still talk about it, even if it's not for the right reasons. But I can't remember anything from it. So as much as I would like to try and lay out, like, the most ridiculous possible way I could maybe vote for Catwoman, I don't think I can do it. Like, I don't think I can be the chaos agent today. I think I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, I think you do too.
And see what I'll report back to everyone.
You'll regret saying that.
I know you. I know she will.
Taylor, is that the
I'm
next
in
watch
IG.
along?
I regret everything for half the movies I have to watch now.
You rewatch it, you're not going to discover a great film suddenly. I mean, if that's what you're looking.
No. I want to have a
vote
better
shitty shit?
argument. I want to be more informed in this, because I just can't remember
More shiny
anything.
shit. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our next one. Deadpool 2 versus Aliens. Mara, I'm going to start with you.
I really, really love Deadpool 2. I'm a defender of it. However, Aliens is one of the absolute.
Yeah, everyone look. Jacob's an asshole.
Not just one of the best sequels of all time, but one of the best movies of all time. I mean, I'm a sucker for that era of movie. I think that they really develop Ripley's character so much more. Hicks is my boyfriend. Also the name of my iguana when I was little. True fact. So much of that movie just works. I rewatched it very recently. I think we did a commentary track for it. And we didn't watch the extended version, which if you've never seen it, you 100% totally should, people watching, because it's one of the best like extended / directors / ultimate / whatever people call it cuts of a movie. It really makes it more enjoyable and shows all these other things that they cut out, that you can like see the little ripples of, oh, the sentry guns. That's why things were done this way that aren't in the theatrical cut of the film. But great performances. Hicks was done dirty in the next movie. This is always going to be where the Alien verse hit its highest point. Even though Alien is fantastic, I have to like separate them out in my mind, because genre-wise they're so tonally different. But that's why I think it works. And man, it's just perfect. So ding dong.
All right, Marisol.
Deadpool 2. I'll be much briefer in this one. Sorry. Deadpool 2 is respectable follow-up. It can't top the original for sheer wackiness. I think it plays it safer and more straightforward with the plot. And I think Deadpool 2 is a little more conventional than Deadpool 1, and safer. We expect the irreverence this time around, and I think that it falls into that. Still has some high points, but nowhere near as many just absolutely like gut busting, hilarious one-liners as the first one. First Deadpool is great, and the second doesn't quite live up to it. And also for me, I'm in the camp. I know a lot of people. It's a popular opinion that Aliens is superior to Alien. No way in the world to me. The original Ridley Scott's Alien is without insulting Aliens. The original Alien is just excellent S tier film. A masterclass of blending genres and tinging sci-fi with horror in a very meditative way that hadn't been done before. Aliens is the aesthetic of Aliens I've never been super, super crazy about. Very, very grimy, very industrial, and pretty drab. I've never been quite as crazy. I don't think it's visually. I think it's much more, a much flatter film than the original, and I do think it is a solid. I do really do love at the end. I love the arc of Ripley in it, and um, I do really enjoy her face off at the end, and I I enjoy plenty of things about it. My point is that I'm going to pick Aliens over Deadpool 2. I think both are respectable sequels that don't outshine their first. But I think where Deadpool just plays it safer and just is merely more of a step down from the first, Aliens is not as amazing as the first film, but I think takes the story in a different direction, expands the world, and I think is a quite respectable follow up that's got its own merit and things to acknowledge. And that's my vote over Deadpool 2 is Aliens.
Mm-hmm. Go.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first Deadpool film a lot. I was very excited when it got announced. I had a great time with it. I was really excited about Deadpool 2, but for some reason it doesn't work for me. I don't think it's a bad film. I just remember sitting in the theater going, something about the humor in this one has shifted because it doesn't work for me. Like, the first one is hilarious to me. The second one, I sat there and was like, man, I wish I was laughing at this like everybody else is. And I don't know why that is. It's just something about it has shifted and it just doesn't land with me. And I think that's inherently a problem with comedies that you're never going to fix. Some people's sense of humor, things are just going to work for, and some people they're not. So this isn't particularly fair, I guess, but this bracket isn't fair. I don't think Deadpool 2 is a bad film. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for me on the levels that it needs to. And I think Aliens is fantastic. So I'm just going to leave it at that because I have a feeling we're going to be talking more about Aliens later. But
Jesse.
Well, here goes my losing battle. So the battle of the sequels, I think this is an interesting setup. I am with Marisol, though. I prefer Alien. In that environment, I prefer strictly a horror film. And I think Alien works more. Not saying Aliens is generic, but I think it leans a little more into that than the first one did, which was wholly original and fantastic. I do agree with Taylor, not in the overall opinion of Deadpool 2, but that it was a shift in comedy, a shift in tone, a shift in writing, and just all kinds of things. Deadpool 2 worked so much better for me than the original did because I was a huge Deadpool fan. I felt the original was like an hour and 40-minute movie, and an hour and 10 minutes of that is this origin. And I was like, I don't care. I'm mentally past this already. So it's me waiting for the last 30 minutes of the movie every time I watch it. Whereas Deadpool 2 is like, here's Deadpool. He's in his environment. He's irreverent. There's the fourth wall breaking. Somehow the most accurate representation of both like Colossus and Juggernaut are both in Deadpool 2. The X-Men cameos got me. And yeah, is it a little bit of just like Fast and Furious, just joke? It is, but I was laughing most of the time. I mean, they snuck a baby Hitler joke in that. Like, it went for it. I think it's not quite as generic and safe as some people think that it might be, but I loved it. I revisit 2 actually more often than 1. I love Josh Brolin as Cable. I thought that was absolutely perfect. The plot that they had going on with like his family and stuff, and him having to come to terms with the fact like, hey, maybe killing kids is not the way to go. I don't know. There's a lot that I really liked in it. The X-Force stuff was great. Seeing Brad Pitt, everyone dying instantly. They did it before the Suicide Squad did, and I think when you're thinking of like 2 sets of 2 movies, Deadpool's my favorite of the 2. Aliens is my less favorite of the 2. So I'm going to go Deadpool 2, and I lose, but it's okay.
Well, Jacob has abandoned the stream once again. So who still hasn't gone? Because this isn't normally my job.
Not.
Okay, it's your turn then.
But I was gonna say, hey, I won't break the internet, so I'll just say Aliens. But Jesse, man, you opened the door. I'm gonna walk through it. If I'm gonna put on one of these movies right now, I'd rather watch Deadpool 2. I think Aliens is real good. I think it was a very important movie when it comes to sci-fi action films. But like, it's been done over and over again, and probably done better, in my opinion, in certain other movies. I do really like the relationship between like Vasquez and Gorman and Ripley and Bishop, and like there's some really good relationships built there. But like when we spend 15 20 minutes trying to really get to know this like slew of 10 characters, and then 20 minutes later all but 4 of them are dead, I'm not a huge fan of that. Whereas like that is done correctly in X-Force when you get like 7 characters and 10 minutes later they're all dead, but you remember each of them, each of them, you just get more information. And it's one of those that the humor works for me for that movie. I think it's a little long, but it works. If I'm going to pop one of these in, it's going to be Deadpool 2. So we lose Jesse, but I'm going to fight that hill with you.
Hey, let's sink on this ship, man. I'm excited. I love
Mara might kick me out of everything that we've ever talked about for saying that I don't like Aliens as much as her.
I'm not mad about that. I mean, I think Aliens is like the high point because it's big, but I didn't necessarily say that I think it's the best quality one, just to be very clear.
No, that's right. Like the Aliens.
I might kick you out of this stream, but like, Mara won't.
I just came to that movie
come
late.
Stay at my house next month, and then I'm going to pull a huge prank on you, way bigger than the last one.
That sounds fun. All right. Well, with that, Aliens does move on. All right, let's go to our next one. We have Superman Returns versus The Crow, City of Angels.
It should have been Power Rangers.
Jesse, I'm going to start with you.
All right. Superman Returns is the better film. I would rather watch The Crow, City of Angels just thematically and aesthetically because at least I'm more entertained. Superman Returns is pretty tortuous when you, like, besides the point that Brendan Routh did a great job trying to be Christopher Reeve, and this is the only time I'll pay this man any compliments. I think Kevin Spacey did a good Gene Hackman. Nothing else in that movie works for me. I like that it was supposed to be the idea of a study of like kind of a God complex and what's it like to be Superman. But hey, there's a movie called Man of Steel that did that immensely better. So, City of Angels.
Interesting. Okay. Robert.
I have to be honest here. The Crow City of Angels is the only IG movie I have never seen. It's the only one. I've seen everything else except this movie, and I own it. I am going to watch it this week. Literally, it's on my docket. But I have not seen it. That being said, I actually think Superman Returns is the best Superman movie, in my opinion. If somebody was gonna, I know that's a hot take. I'm not a Superman fan though, so like, the Superman 78 doesn't do it for me. Man of Steel doesn't do it for me.
Okay. That's okay.
I just am not a fan of the character. So if somebody was like, "Hey, watch a Superman movie right now," I'd be like, "Hey, Superman Returns is kind of fun." That's not a joke. That's like legit. It's my favorite Superman movie. It's long, but it's good. I think Frank Langella is incredible. Yeah, and I actually really do like the things that Jesse was talking about. I think even more so than Man of Steel, in my opinion, I think it does sort of tackle what does it mean to be superpowered? What does it mean to be Superman? What does it mean that God complex? I think that gets into it far more than maybe not far more, but better than Man of Steel or BVS. I think those movies tackle it in a different way, more so when it comes to the violence, but when it comes to just the I have this power, should or can I use it? I think that aspect is really interesting. Kate Bosworth, obviously, take it or leave it. So I don't think there's ever really been like a perfect Superman movie, but I think Superman Returns is pretty good.
I'm just getting hung up on the I don't like Superman as a character. Okay.
Part of it is I didn't grow up with that character. Like Batman was my guy.
Can I add to this hot take? Because I broke the internet, I think, a couple months ago when I had this same hot take where I was like, I'm watching Superman Returns, my favorite Superman movie. And everyone was like, excuse me? What did you just say to me? So I'm going to jump on this boat because I don't think I'm ever going to be in a situation again where I have someone on screen that also wants to give Superman Returns some form of love. Yeah. So I'm just going to put that out there. I think Brandon Routh is amazing. I have so much fun with this film. Is it perfect? No. Is it probably actually the best Superman movie? No. But if I'm going to pick one to put on, this is the one that I'm going to put on because I just have so much fun with it. I think it's just, I don't know. It just speaks to my heart. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I can put on other Superman movies and I'm like, yeah, cool. There's so much to appreciate about these, but can I have Brandon Routh, please? All right, let's go. So that's what I'm picking.
All right. Mara.
A lot of Superman thoughts. Oh my goodness! Like I'm actually trying to digest all of this. I do like to put out some props, by the way. Parker Posey, I love her in this movie.
Yes.
So much. Like she's up at an 11, but I'm really there for it. Brandon Routh is just so handsome. And you've got James Marsden. However, even with all of the good things about that movie created the situation that gave us X-Men: The Last Stand. And even if I didn't love The Crow City of Angels, which I very much do, it is dark, it's moody, it's depressing AF. I mean, that is something I'm so there for all the time. I want my movies to make me challenge my views of the world and just revel in nihilism. So, yeah, if it hadn't been any other movie, I might have actually picked Superman Returns. But because it created the force of shit that is X-Men: The Last Stand, I'm gonna say The Crow City of Angels.
Mari, can Revel in Nihilism please be the title of your autobiography?
I want it etched on my tombstone.
All right, Jesse.
I already spoke.
Yeah, I was just getting. You want to reference the fact that the changed shirt?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Fair enough, Marisol.
Oh, this is so interesting. I never expected to see this whole, like, so many people saying these things about Superman Returns, these positives about Superman Returns. When I did first see it, as Superman is my favorite superhero of all time. And when I came out of the theaters after seeing Superman Returns, it was my favorite Superman movie over the original. When I came out of the theaters in 2006, it was my favorite over the original movie. Right?
He got so excited for
2006. In 2006,
Marisol said, "Here's the giant butt."
Here's that big old booty of a butt. All right. It's then I calmed down, and then I watched it about 40 more times, and I realized that Kate Bosworth is just the worst Lois Lane in the history of Lois Lanes. I just don't understand that casting choice. I don't understand why you cast like 24-year-old Kate Bosworth as Lois Lane after years of knowing Superman and with like a 5-year-old kid. I don't understand why you cast like an actress in her early 20s to like be Lois Lane. Kate Bosworth doesn't have anywhere near the chops. She's just once the glow faded off, I had so many problems with Returns. Superman Returns doesn't exist without the Donner films. Its whole DNA and purpose of being is just to reference and pay respect and homage to the Donner films. I don't mean that as like an extreme negative. Like I don't mean that like it sucks, but I just mean that everything is just emulating the Christopher Reeve and the Donner films. Like it Ralph is doing an excellent OG Superman impression, and Kevin Spacey is doing a Gene Hackman impression. And goddamn it, if Lex Luthor is a villain one more time in these Superman movies, I'm gonna write an angry letter. I'm so tired of Lex Luthor being the villain.
Strongly worded letter.
A strongly worded letter. Yeah.
Man of Steel respects your feelings.
No, it's just I have so many feels about it because I'm so closely attached to Superman and the character. Adore Man of Steel and the original. And also of course, Superman 2. And then Superman Returns falls kind of maybe fourth in line after all those films. All that is to say that I've never seen The Crow City of Angels either. So I'm still going to vote for Superman Returns.
Hey.
Well, with that, Superman Returns does make it through to the next round.
After a wild journey.
I liked that
Very
thick
wild
butt,
journey.
though. That was nice.
Take what you see. Yeah, it was a big old butt.
Okay. We get our final Harry Potter film. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. versus Green Lantern.
No, Chance is not in the stream, so he's not gonna talk about you calling it Philosopher's Stone. Feel free to speak your truth, Jacob, if you want to call it the Philosopher's Stone.
I mean, or don't.
This is mostly to an American audience, so I have to call it Sorcerer's.
No. You know what?
And
Okay, you can talk down to us. We don't mind.
Philosopher's Stone because America was too dim-witted that they wouldn't buy
We're
the book.
simple-minded Americans. You can say it.
We're like philosophers. Oh.
This is your one time to be like, all of you morons. It's called Philosopher's Stone.
No, I will be nice. I'm already torturing you all with.
So who's going first?
I'm actually going to let you go first.
Oh, okay.
It's a Harry Potter one.
I know, but the thing is, with the Harry Potter movies have been pretty fortunate so far in the bracket to not go up against other real juggernauts here. I mean, I apologize if anyone on this stream is ready to vote for Green Lantern, but I
Guess you got a Green Lantern shirt back there, or what?
but I don't like the best thing that came out of Green Lantern was Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's wonderful, beautiful, meme-worthy relationship that we get on the internet now. This is an easy one for me. I love Sorcerer's Stone. I think it's just the perfect kind of introduction into this world. I saw all these movies growing up, basically right alongside the actors, pretty relatively close to their ages as I was seeing these movies, and so I was just in that perfect spot for this first film. For this film to really resonate with me, and it's a really easy choice over Green Lantern, which I've seen one time and then I think have just burned from my memory, to be perfectly honest.
I'm gonna give like one little bit of commentary because obviously it's Sorcerer's Stone. But wait,
can you say that again?
Sorcerer's Stone.
That's your next soundbite, pal.
I know. She's got it on repeat somewhere. My biggest thing with the Green Lantern movie is Ryan Reynolds so clearly hates that film, and yet it is the movie that probably means the most to him in his entire life because it's how he met his wife. There's just an absolute amazing irony to all of that I love, that I just find absolutely hilarious.
He and Scarlet didn't meet in Green Lantern. Oh, Blake.
Marisol, I'm going to go to you.
Okay. This is not even close. I mean, this is not even close. Come on. Although I don't think Green Lantern is an embarrassing failure of a film. I think it's completely mediocre. I don't think it's exceedingly terrible. I don't think it's piss poor. I just think it is completely unremarkable. And such a goofy, generic, almost TV pilot episode of introduction to Green Lantern and Green Lantern Corps and this world, and it's so canned and it's so corny, and quite on autopilot and shocking. Martin Campbell is one of the most inconsistent directors who just will make a great movie. He'll make a Mask of Zorro, and he'll make a Legend of Zorro, and he'll make a Casino Royale, and he'll make a Quantum of Solace, and it's just so weird, and he's just off. This is just a completely mediocre superhero film. I don't feel I've ranted somewhere about Ryan Reynolds before, and he's just too much of a quip machine. He's too much of an automatic quip machine to really be believable as anybody other than Deadpool, which is just such a fit for his on-screen persona. But he wasn't the right fit for Hal Jordan. I need somebody a little more toned down than Hal Jordan for Hal Jordan in this film. Sorcerer's Stone is what you were saying, Taylor. It's without being the most amazing the most amazing Potter film, it is such a terrific, gotta give so much props, so much credit to Columbus for creating one of the best you could ever hope for starter Potter films. He brought the world to life so vividly realized, so complete, so thorough, so meticulous in how he just put everything you ever dreamed of seeing in the books. Just all right, just adapt it all. Just put it on the screen. Like just put it all on there, and that's the safest and most universal and big way to grab just your arms out and just bring everybody in the world in to see Harry Potter and get everybody on board with the series. And I'm so happy that the series started with Columbus and then took off in different directions with different directors. But Sorcerer's Stone, absolutely 100% over completely forgettable and little fart in the wind Green Lantern.
Robert.
Yeah, obviously I agree. I actually agree that I don't think Green Lantern is like offensive. Like I can probably name like 25 or 30 IG movies that I think are worse. It's bad, but it's not like I'm gonna stay up at night because I hate Green Lantern so much, which I will for things like Elektra and Catwoman. But yeah, I mean, there's some interesting stuff happening in Green Lantern. Like Ben brought it up in the chat, but like Michael Clark Duncan as Kilowog is like incredible casting. Mark Strong is like actually kind of good. I think Blake Lively is clearly the best part of this movie. I think she's doing a wonderful job. But it's just not a good movie. It just doesn't work. Whereas Sorcerer's Stone is wonderful. Like Marisol said, as far as Sorcerer's Stone,
That's where I was ranting. Yes,
it's a wonderful adaptation because every single thing that needs to be adapted is, and everything that doesn't need to be adapted isn't. It set a very good precedent for the Harry Potter movies for making things cinematic that needed to be and leaving out things that didn't need to be, which every director took, did their own thing with in the future. But like everything that needs to be there with Snape is. There's some things that don't need to be there with Snape that aren't there. The visual effects I think actually kind of hold up. Some stuff doesn't, like the cave troll doesn't necessarily look the best, but like the unicorn blood looks really good. The head with Quirrell, like that actually looks really good. I think that everything that needs to be here it's the perfect movie about I could do a 3-hour podcast just on this movie. But like the themes in this movie
God, please, no.
No, I want the themes of the family you choose instead of the family that you're given. The themes of bravery and friendship and like making your own choices. Like Dumbledore says, it's somebody who's the pure of heart stuff like that. Everything is there. Everything that's just pure Harry Potter is here. One of my favorite times ever watching this movie was with Mara, and it was a wonderful experience. And I love everything about this movie, especially the music. I think this may be the best scored Harry Potter movie. It's either this or 6 for me because I think all the whimsical stuff that is done in 6 is really good too. But the score is just, it puts you inside of Harry's mind. It's a POV movie from Harry's eyes, and as he's getting introduced to this world of wonder, you are too, and it's just so perfect.
Jesse.
I think I want to repeat back on some of the points that have been made already. Yes to the music. I think much in the way, go figure, it's John Williams again, but much in the way that John Williams nailed exactly what the Star Wars themes and scores needed to be, and they're so instantly iconic. When the Harry Potter logo comes up and you get dun, 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 it's all perfect. Diagon Alley, everything in Hogwarts, the music is perfect in every way. It doesn't have a single weak spot in it. It did serve to be an excellent introduction into the franchise. While it might not be everyone's favorite, I think it's not a perfect film, but it's perfect in its purpose and its intention, and did very well with that. I do not hate Green Lantern. I think Green Lantern came out 5 or 6 years too late because I feel very similar about Green Lantern in the way that I do about like Daredevil and Fantastic Four. Like it's mediocre, highs and lows, nothing sticks out, easily forgettable. But for that to come out in 2011, a year before we get Avengers, and we've already had like First Avenger and Iron Man stuff and The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, I'm like, dude, you're late. You're so late for all this mediocrity. So Sorcerer's Stone is not mediocre, and for that reason it gets my vote. But I will say that Lauren wanted to make sure that I brought up moisture points for Blake Lively. That is her female crush. And also Taika Waititi is an icon. So
you are right with Green Lantern. I mean, it came out in the summer of Thor, X-Men First Class and Captain America First Avenger. So
it was the worst comic book movie that summer, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
For it.
Mara.
It's actually so incredibly insightful. I've never thought about it like that. If that movie came out in like 2002, 2003, it feels like it should have. Like something happened. It got locked in a vault. Time traveled forward in time somehow and came out at exactly the wrong time because tonally
Ryan
it
Reynolds
feels
was in a movie
so
those
early
years.
2000. Yeah,
Blade.
that's crazy. You just blew my mind. I do have to say though, yes, Blake Lively, dripping hot. But also, I can't explain it. Jeffrey Rush, CGI'd, is also like totally doing it for me.
The Beaker, big time.
She's a Beaker
I want to
fan.
figure out exactly what that thing can do. That being said, what, Jesse? What?
Welcome to 80% of the calls that Mara and I are both.
I'm just gonna mute my-
Welcome to
we
this show
talked about a
too.
lot
Yeah.
But do you want to hear really fun? You guys have probably actually already all read this, but I don't know if people in the chat have. Have you heard about how Hedwig's theme actually got put into the movie?
No.
Any takers? Okay, this is so cool. So John Williams put it, like they used it, he had written it and wasn't intending for it to be in the final cut of the film, but they used it in the trailer. And when everyone started exploding and talking about how cool the music in the trailer was, he's like, oh, I guess that's not half bad. Like, I think that's literally the quote he said. He said his own music was not half bad. How outrageous is that? It's John fucking Williams. So just so cool. Like an accident gave us such an iconic piece of music. And everyone else said all of the glowing things. I agree with them wholeheartedly, despite all of the dripping moisture in the Green Lantern. Because it's sad. Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe is not allowed to be attractive yet. So this movie challenges me. But it's going to be Sorcerer's Stone.
You can throw out after Alan Rickman if you want.
Oh, yeah, I can.
Or
Okay,
Robbie
done.
Coltrane.
Eh.
David Bradley.
Jeff McGonagall.
I will also say,
everybody.
Norbert.
I might bring that up. I can't remember when that movie.
Just
has-
talk.
I,
Just
okay,
say things.
I will say thank you though for Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes, because if it wasn't for him for that movie, we never would have gotten Alan Rickman as Snape. We would have had Tim Roth. So that movie does give us one. That movie, does give us one thing. All right, let's move on to our next one. Probably one of the harder ones for this round. Maybe. I don't actually know. Bumblebee versus Power Rangers.
Ooh.
Mara, I'm going to start with you.
This actually isn't that hard for me. I don't really have grievances at all with Power Rangers 17. It's fine. It's serviceable. The incredibly overt product placement for Krispy Kreme, though delicious. By the way, 2 donuts now per day per person with vaccination card. Just putting it out there. But I'm going to make my own Krispy Kreme dupe. So if you want a real donut, Parker, come visit me next month. I love Bumblebee. I think
You've
it's
already
actually,
made the sale.
Thank you. I think it's overall, just to me personally, the best and most well-rounded Transformers, what do you call it? Transformers verse film. I really think that they nailed the relationship. Like the girl and her Transformer, it worked for me. I love all the music they chose for the soundtrack. She's just such a great actress. She really sells it. I like the idea of a challenging family dynamic due to the loss of a parent. I think that John Cena is very good. I love at the end when he's all serious and he's just like, "Hey, soldier." It's like it's like right there, like it's about to be schlocky, but it isn't. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with Power Rangers 17. I was like a kid when Power Rangers came out. It kind of just barely missed me. So maybe because I don't have like a lot of nostalgia for it, I didn't get hit as hard with the new one, but I have a lot of nostalgia for all things Transformers, and Bumblebee was such a wonderful, pleasant surprise. So, Bumblebee, despite my allergy.
Marisol.
This is going to be really simple and straightforward. This one for me. I do have a lot of nostalgia for Power Rangers. I was the perfect age and really do have a lot of nostalgia for the original series and those original movies, those silly movies. And I was genuinely excited for this 2017 reboot. And when I watched it, I was just so pleasantly surprised at how like kind of a more serious take and how it really dived into the isolation that these kids were going through. Like it really dived into like actually exploring the relationship between the teenagers and how and really going through how much they all felt like outcasts, and that was really important how they were bonding with each other. And I was really digging it for being a more serious take on something that I thought was just really pretty cheesy, but I loved. It was one of like just a pure nostalgia product that I was like, this is so cheesy. I loved it when I was a kid. I can understand it's silly as an adult, but I loved it as a kid. And I saw the movie and I was like, this is actually like kind of maturing it a little bit. I'm into it. I'm really enjoying it. And then in the last like half an hour, they brought it home and they just made the last half an hour just like, they were like, oh, you came here, you thought we were completely like forgetting how cheesy this series is and forgetting the original like complete cornballness of the series. No, we're gonna unload it in the last half an hour of this film. We're just gonna go back to 1995. And that was so perfectly timed for me that it just won me over so much with how like the theme song kicks in, the OG theme song kicks in, and it just suddenly becomes like I feel like I'm in like 1995. It just suddenly becomes an episode of the Power Rangers, like from the TV show in the last like half an hour of the movie. And Sumi, I ate that shit right up, and I don't have any of those feelings or those emotions with Bumblebee. While I do think it is, I mean, fucking Catwoman would be a step up from the last night, for fuck's sake. But that means something because everything I said about Catwoman. But yeah, I'm guilty of it with my bias here. So I'm actually gonna just take Power Rangers because it means something more to me personally.
All right.
Even though I know the film has its share of fair flaws, I don't think this is an amazing movie. But it does mean more to me personally, so I have to vote for it.
All right. Tell.
Yeah, I think Power Rangers was a pleasant surprise for a lot of people. I definitely grew up in the right time to be a fan of the Power Rangers TV show. That being said, as much as that's true, I think Bumblebee for me finally gave me a Transformers movie that I genuinely enjoyed all of the way through. I think there are a handful of Transformers movies that I can find decent things in and I can enjoy parts of. But until we got this movie, I really just wanted them to stop. I wanted to send them a cease and desist letter and just stop putting me through it because it was just getting to be away, especially the last night. I was like, can you pay me for the therapy that I need now for having to go through this? Because this is it's just not worth my time. So Bumblebee, I think, is a very heartfelt film. I think it's joyful. I think the cast is great. I think it's goofy in the right ways. And it gives me hope. It gives me hope that if they're going to keep making Transformers films, I hope that we keep getting this kind of film because it just felt like a breath of fresh air to me. And I also cannot vote against a movie that Dylan O'Brien is in. So there you go.
Fair.
Robert.
Oh, Rebby's muted.
Well, you're muted.
Robbie was muted. If I may borrow a phrase, I think Power Rangers has more moisture points. I have been in love with Naomi Scott since 2011 when Lemonade Mouth came out, and I've never looked back.
Fair. That's fair.
And I mean, Ludi Lin and Becky G and Dacre Montgomery. They found some very attractive people to play the Power Rangers. That said, I think that the negatives of Power Rangers for me outweigh the positives. Elizabeth Banks is on some shit.
Yeah, I love that.
And I am not into it. I do not need her breaking into it. Probably true. I don't need her bringing that into my Power Rangers movie, though. Let's leave it in the bedroom where it belongs, Mara.
Fine. You prude.
As far as Bumblebee, I mean, also Haley Steinfeld is incredible, and she is just the weight of this movie and the heart and the connection between her and this, what I assume is probably just a tennis ball on a stick, is really, really, really good. So yeah, I think Bumblebee is a little bit more generic and Power Rangers a little bit more unique, but I think Bumblebee hits where it needs to, and I think Power Rangers falls pretty flat in a couple of segments. So I'm gonna go Bumblebee.
All right, Jesse.
Alrighty, so I mean, I'm mad at you because I feel like this is the battle of the two little movies that could. The ones that were both far better than they deserve to be because their last theatrical entries were dog shit. And I am, of course, referencing Power Rangers Turbo and The Last Night.
Turbo, a Power Rangers movie.
Power Rangers Turbo,
Anywhere.
the movie, whatever it is. I love both of these movies outright. I think Elizabeth Banks knew exactly what movie she was in, and when she shouted "Make my monsters grow," I did a standing clap really quick. I was like, "Yeah!" I love that. My only qualm with Power Rangers is that it did feel like they took an hour and 15 minutes to put the damn suits on. I'm like, I love that we're doing character development. I love that we're building. I love that there's banter back and forth. I love that this movie took the time to give you Power Rangers lore, talking about taking it seriously. They're like, oh yeah, Rita was the original Green Ranger. Zordon was the Red Ranger. They battled. Now Zordon's here. And Zordon's actually a manipulative dick for a while. And I was like, this is great. And then all of a sudden you look at you're like, oh, there's 20 minutes left. I want to see some Power Rangers. But I really enjoyed this movie. Bumblebee was fantastic. I think it had everything in the world outside of its director working against it. It shouldn't have been great. I rewatched it recently with Lauren once or twice in the movie. I get a little, speaking of moisture, a little moisture in the eyes. I think it was very well done. Bumblebee is an adorable creature. And we got some rad Cybertron stuff. And they actually let the Transformers kill people. They blew them into people juice, and I was like, oh, this is fun. John Cena, it's not his best. It's not his worst, but it's not that great. I think all in all, I have to vote for Bumblebee, and I don't know if it's counted or not, but Lauren's voting for Power Rangers, so that's
Okay.
the divide in the household here.
She sent you a
So
telepathic.
Maths are hard.
That makes God damn it, that makes me the deciding vote.
If you want, Sir Pounce can be the deciding vote.
I am going. Okay.
I want you to think very carefully about.
No.
Which
Okay. Before you even said that, okay. Before you actually said that, I was going to go Bumblebee because Bumblebee.
Oh.
I'm going to go Bumblebee. I didn't grow up with Power Rangers.
Did you guys have Power Rangers here?
I don't even.
On
We did, but again, I wasn't allowed to watch TV in the mornings.
They're called Kanga Rangers.
So I am going to go Bumblebee because I really thoroughly enjoyed that movie. But both of these, they're both fun movies. I just definitely enjoyed Bumblebee more than Power Rangers. I don't really have much more to add, so I'm going to go I'm going Bumblebee, and yeah, I really hated that I was the deciding vote on that one.
You did that to yourself.
I know.
Don't worry, I'll let Lauren know that you were the deciding vote on whether or not. Okay, so
Thanks, Jesse.
We have 3 Power Rangers movies, right? We lost Morphin to Crow, understandably.
Shame.
But now all we have left is Turbo, and I know that's not going to beat shit. So you have successfully eliminated all the Power Rangers movie, and this household is a little sad about it.
That's fair. I can appreciate that. All right, let's move on.
Fuck you, Jacobs. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. Mad Max 2, Road Warrior versus The Dark Knight Rises. Mara, I'm going to start with you.
This is actually kind of tough. I have a lot of nostalgia for the Mad Max films. I I really like the aesthetic of it. I mean, I think it was really ambitious. I just like the universe. I love how terrible everybody is, because that's life, and we're not even in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, and people are still like that. So, I mean, again, just sit there in the darkness like it's a nice warm bath. However, I gotta say, I don't have an aggressive hatred for The Dark Knight Rises, though I do think that it's fairly objectively the least popular film from a general audience standpoint and a critical standpoint. Granted, I don't have the Rotten Tomato scores to back that up, but I've never actually met anyone who says that's their favorite, although I'd be super interested to hear that perspective just because I like understanding why people think the way they do. And it also enhances my enjoyment of things to hear why people enjoy things. But I soften on it a lot more every time I watch it, which is a lot, kind of. And I don't know if that's just an IG thing because the Nolan films were always very popular for deep cut trivia the year I started. But it has fantastic music. It has its problems. But I really, really love Mad Max 2. I feel like Marisol right now because I honestly have no idea exactly where I'm going yet. And usually I at least have some idea and I amble just because I can't collect myself and I'm incapable of coherent thought processes right now instead of just not knowing what. I feel like it's a head-heart decision. Okay, you know what? I actually have a lot of confidence. I suspect that not a lot of people like the original Mad Max films or don't have any connection to them from like childhood. I'm going to give my vote to Mad Max 2 because I think Dark Knight Rises will probably make it through, and I want Mad Max 2 to get some love. I also feel like perhaps that Adam is my spiritual soul animal with Mad Max 2. I have a suspicion that he likes this movie, and so I'm sad I won't get to hear him talk about it, but I would like to reserve 45 seconds in next week's show so that way he can tell me if I'm right.
Granted. Okay.
Thank you.
Robert, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Mara kind of hit the nail on the head. That like I can respect the original Mad Max movies, especially I think this one's my favorite of the. Thunderdome actually might be my favorite of the three, but I don't really have a connection to them. I don't really have a nostalgia for them. I love anything with Bruce Spence in it. Mara knows this, but I think Dark Knight Rises is definitely a superior movie, and I like it more than most. But it still has some major problems. You know, the stuff with the hole, the stuff with the Talia al Ghul twist is just whack. Batman getting back into Gotham. Like, I fully recognize the problems with this movie, but man, I fucking love Bane. I love Tom Hardy's Bane. I love his costume. I love his weird voice. I love how unpredictable he is. Man, I love that take on the character. I love the Blackgate prison speech. I love everything that's going on with Gordon in this movie, his crisis of faith. There's some technical stuff that I have a real problem with. It's definitely way longer than it needs to be. But man, Michael Caine saying, "I failed you." At the grave is just so good. I love when he sees Bruce with Selena in Florence. I love that part. I just think there's so much that's right with The Dark Knight Rises. You're in for a show tonight, son, and it'd be extremely painful for you. There's just the opening scene of Dark Knight Rises is like in the top 5 scenes in the Dark Knight trilogy, top 3 maybe. Along with Dark Knight's opening scene, it's just so good. He's wondering why you'd shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane. There's just so much right.
Like this, though, Robbie.
He's wondering why you'd shoot a man before throwing him out of a plane. There's just so much that's right with that movie. So I gotta go Dark Knight Rises.
All right, Jesse.
All right. Hashtag mute gang. Got to get off that mute button. I will not say it's the worst, but I will say that Dark Knight Rises is my least favorite theatrically released Batman film. I would rather watch Batman and Robin. Granted, it's a far worse movie. I just find it more entertaining. I remember Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012, and everyone's like, "Are you excited for Dark Knight Rises? Are you excited for Avengers? Like which?" And everyone's battling of which one's going to be better. I was like, "Oh, it's easy. It's not close for me because it's not what I want from Batman. The Nolan trilogy doesn't work for me in the Batman fandomness. As films, they work, I think, but just not in that respect. Anyways, I didn't want to vote for Mad Max Road Warrior just because it wasn't The Dark Knight Rises. I actually haven't seen Road Warrior, So here was my thought process. I was like, let's make it fair. I went on to Google, said who's got the higher Rotten Tomato score. Road Warriors is 94%, Dark Knight Rises is 87%. So Road Warrior.
Wow.
Color me
All right. That's interesting. That's fascinating. Marisol, what are you thinking? Oh,
it continues.
yep, there we go.
Been alive. I have a jumble of. This is a tough matchup because these are both strong films, and these are the toughest matchups. I hate when like both of these would certainly beat a lot of other films in the bracket, but they're going against each other. So here they go. When this happens, I just kind of boil it down to looking at the respective franchises and kind of assessing it like that. And Rises is my least revisited of the Nolan Batman movies. It's the one I revisit the least. I do think it is too long. And it's in a lot of weird ways. I don't expect anybody to really agree with it. For me, it's like I do agree with those points. Some of those points, I do agree with the points that Robert was saying about the emotional impactfulness. But I think overall, because it's just a little too all stretched out, I think it's the least emotionally impactful of the Nolan films for me. I know that's odd. I can't explain it. So considering that I think it's the weakest of the three Nolans, even though I still think is a solid film, and I think that Road Warrior is the strongest of the original Mad Max movies. I just think just the bigger budget. I just think it's just a leaner, meaner, tighter, more impressive, more visually impressive, better cinematography. I think it's a tighter film. I think it's an improvement over the first one. And like I said, looking at the franchises, comparing them to the two, I think not a lot of people, I'm saying myself, I would consider Road Warrior to be the high point of the Mad Max series. And yes, I'm including Fury Road. I think it would be the high point of the Mad Max series. And The Dark Knight to be, not for an extreme reason, but the most mixed point for the Nolan series. So that's splitting hairs, even though I think they're both well done films, very decent films. I still have to go Road Warrior ultimately.
Okay. You.
I mean, I don't really have an opinion.
Fair enough.
The only Mad Max film I have seen is the newest one, so I can't really give any sort of informed opinion. I've seen Dark Knight Rises. I don't even know how many times I've revisited that compared to Begins and Dark Knight. Like, I will definitely revisit the other two when I remember.
I mean, we didn't even go to that. Was the one screening we didn't go to.
I know, that was the one we didn't go to. So I feel like part of me probably would have voted for Mad Max, but I haven't seen it. So I don't really have...
What you have to look forward to in Mad Max is a character called Lord Humongous with the biggest thighs you've ever seen.
Just love that.
Air thigh. You're talking like they shaved this man's thighs. It is impressive.
Wow, I sense the thirst. The thirst is real.
I'm just saying this man has thighs.
Mad Max,
a lot of people do, Parker.
Well, with that, Road Warrior does make it through.
Wow.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I am a little bit too. All right, let's move on to the one that's essentially called PJ Will Murder Me.
Yeah.
But
probably.
That is The Rocketeer versus Star Trek First Contact. Yeah. Good thing I'm not playing in a match again this year.
Me either.
Mara, where are you going?
Why do you have to do this to me? Okay. I'm not going first next time. I'm just pointing that out.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay. Man,
what is the next one? Okay.
I love The Rocketeer. I really, really do. The score is amazing. It's so... It's a perfect encapsulation. Like, talk about goals and product and the fact that they sync up so perfectly. It's such a great joy to revisit. Absolutely love the movie. That being said, I don't know if there are very few movies I would vote against for Star Trek First Contact because I love this movie. I know this movie frame by frame, sentence by sentence, like every single thing about this movie. And you can ask Robbie Parker because I know obscene amounts of trivia for this movie. And I have so many 5-point questions that I want them to ask me that they never ever will. But I love the Borg as a villain. Alice Krieg is just so sexy in this movie. I think that
Talk about moisture points.
Yeah, the time travel in the movie totally works. Also, Data was still very appealing at this point for me. He hadn't quite gotten old enough where I was like, oh. And yeah, I mean, this was such a great first movie without any previous connection to like Shatner and Scotty and all of that stuff. So it's just the music is also fantastic music, like that French horn suite that they have for it, so great. And I hate that you're making me do this is probably almost one of the most soul crushing ones because we've had like really great movies go up against one another, but I don't know if we've had two movies that have such a close connection both in their timing and how they hit me, and that I sincerely hope that everyone else also loves these movies. And I also hope that you're in as much pain as I am. So I regrettably will vote Star Trek First Contact, but I'm not going to be heartbroken at all if Rocketeer goes forward. It's a fantastic film.
All right. Parker.
Mara, this is the Star Trek with Eugene Chefal, right? Right? That's this one? No? Oh, that's Nemesis, isn't it? Or is that Insurrection? Fuck, I don't know. It's one of the two later ones. I think it's Insurrection, actually. Sorry,
Robert Parker,
we can edit this out,
of
right?
a tournament. You need to know these things.
It's Insurrection. It's definitely Insurrection.
If only you were
Fuck it.
Star Trek.
All right, anyways, this is all a cruel ploy because it turns out I am also going to go with Star Trek First Contact. This movie fucking rocks. Rocketeer is very, very, very fun. It's very, very good. It's very pulpy. It's very, 40s spy thriller, Nazis, Jennifer Connelly at the height of her powers. But First Contact is just so encapsulating. It's definitely my favorite TNG film. It's probably my favorite Star Trek film that came out before 2008. I love this movie. I think it's Patrick Stewart's best movie. In the role of Picard, I think it's he gets the most to do. I think it's Data's most complicated movie. Like you said, the Borg are just like so fascinating as a villain. The Zefram Cochrane stuff I find just endlessly watchable. I really, really enjoy the First Contact. So yeah, definitely this.
All right. Marisol.
Yeah. I do have a soft spot for Joe Johnston and his understanding of old-fashioned adventure. And I feel kind of similarly to the Rocketeer, the way I feel like a Captain America, the first Avenger. And just there's a spirit, there's a current running in the Rocketeer that is just so reminiscent of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that was so welcome in the 90s when things were becoming just so futuristic after the late 80s. Like everything, there's just such an old-fashioned comfort level to the Rocketeer. It has been years since I've seen it. It's been just years, so I don't even really know how it holds up. How I would feel about it nowadays if I watch it. Maybe I'll feel even more. I feel like people get a little more. We get fonder and more nostalgic as the older we get. So maybe I'll like the Rocketeer even more. But I do think that it seems to be like a trend that, like, I guess when Star Trek cast members direct the films, they really get to really the meat and the heart of the characters and maybe make the most emotionally impactful Star Trek films. And I'll cut to it. I do enjoy both these films, and I think both these films are worth moving on. But for all the reasons, Mara, that you and Robert were really articulating really well, I'm gonna pick First Contact.
Jesse.
So, so many different thoughts trying to narrow down which one to pick here. I went with a lot of different methods. Again, both really fantastic films. And so when I don't have a really good way of discerning what I'm going to pick in between the two, I go to a few different places. So again, I was like, maybe I'll look at Rotten Tomatoes. And that just pissed me off because I think
both these are probably super underrated, probably.
First Contact is 92%. Rocketeer is 66. And so I swiped out of that page. I was like, well, that just makes me want to vote for Rocketeer more. And so and then the other thing that I looked at is the Rocketeer is a standalone iconic piece of, pulpy, it's a staple. I think it's an absolute staple, both in IG and just like Joe Johnston films and fantastic, entertaining, family-friendly cinema. Anyone who hasn't seen this, by the way, it's on Disney Plus now. I just watched it a couple weeks ago, so that's fun. I am going to use this excuse for the 300th time in this stream, and that's Star Trek's got a couple chances. It's a franchise. It'll get to win another match or two, probably. Rocketeer, it's the one. And it also speaks to me more as a film. It's something I'm going to go back and revisit more often. And because PJ's voice isn't here, I will speak for him and his tattoo, Rocketeer.
Mara, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did. Sir Patrick Stewart is just like dripping in that movie. Like they let him go full Die Hard. He's got a sleeveless shirt on. You can clearly see he's real.
He shows his guns.
Make it moist.
I'm here for it, like so much. Also, if anyone has an in with him, I would love for him to marry Dan and I, if or when we do decide that we want to legally tie ourselves to one another for all eternity.
I mean, that feels like the only way to do that.
Yeah.
So
I
approve. I approve of that.
Toe?
100%. You're putting me in a position. I'm sorry, PJ. I've never seen The Rocketeer. I haven't. I have not. It's just not on my list of watched films at this point. I'm prepared to be disowned, so that's fine.
I don't think you're going to be disowned. I just think you're going to have about 1,000 messages from people saying, so when are we watching it? When are we watching it? When are we watching it?
Probably. So I haven't seen Rocketeer, so I don't, I'm glad that it's not coming down to like a deciding vote kind of thing, because I would be like, well, but I really love First Contact. It's one of my favorite Star Trek films. As I was going through watching, the older ones, the movies that I hadn't had a chance to visit, because Star Trek, I'd seen some of the Star Trek TV shows, a couple of episodes, but my first real introduction in the movies was Star Trek 09. But I really, really love First Contact. I think there's so much to appreciate about it. And by default, like I have to vote for it. I don't have a personal experience with The Rocketeer. So, yeah, I know. I know.
He'll be stopped at the border, but he did.
but he's about to, so that's going to be fun. Yeah, so there we go.
I'm dead. I'm about to die. You know that gif of Ralph just sitting there? I'm in danger. Yeah. That's me right now.
Basically.
For the record, and I can try to look it up so I can show Parker, I photoshopped that same picture of Ralph when I knew that we were going to have a match together, and I just put my head on it.
That's funny.
Well, guys, with that, First Contact does make it through. All right, we move on. Star Wars: The Clone Wars versus Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. Marisol, I'm gonna start with you.
I don't. No, Revenge of the Sith.
Okay,
Robert.
I'm
sorry. I don't need to.
Don't have anything to add. That's fair. No, that's
Revenge.
fair. Robert.
Revenge of the Sith. As much as I like there being a character in Star Wars called Punky Muffin, which I do genuinely love. Revenge of the Sith is it's clearly the best of the prequels. At one point, it might have been my favorite Star Wars movie for a time. I really, really love that movie. I now realize that there are definitely flaws with it, and there is definitely prequelness sort of leaking into it. There are a lot of problems with Revenge of the Sith, but man, the last like half hour, 45 minutes of that movie is firing on all cylinders. The Yoda Palpatine fight cross cut with the Anakin Obi-Wan fight on Mustafar is incredible. Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor, it's his best movie. I have failed you, Anakin. I have it. Like that whole conversation is incredible. It's just so good. I think this might be a hot take. I think the Duel on Mustafar might be better than Duel of the Fates.
Fuck right off.
Not the music.
Okay,
the Duel of the
remember,
Fates score, obviously incredible.
Take both of them. Take the music out. Have a conversation.
Right. Without the music, I think the Battle of Mustafar takes it. I just think because the emotional weight that it brings is more than like Maul, who is an incredible villain, but he's also sort of a faceless soldier. But no, in general, yeah, Revenge of the Sith is great. There's a lot of problems, but it's clearly better than Clone Wars, which is just hard to watch sometimes.
Mara.
I would like to say that I will cede to Parker that there's more emotional weight in that lightsaber duel. However, I will stand by the fact that even excluding music, the fight choreography is so much more impressive because Ray Park is an actual stunt performer. Yeah. But I totally don't mind if you actually like the other one better. It's okay for you to be wrong sometimes.
Keyword in there is
sometimes. If anyone else agrees with him, you're fine. It's just him.
You don't want to be
I'm going to need a chaos vote here because I legitimately love the Clone Wars. I love this movie. I've probably seen it as many times or more as any other Star Wars movie. I really, really love it. It has its problems. Every single Star Wars problem has at least one fractional problem, even the best of them or the most perfect of them. So I'm not saying Clone Wars is fantastic, but I really love it. I love it. So I will be the chaos vote, and I'm okay with it.
Okay. Jesse.
So it's good that I'm not in having any more IG matches because I think I would have been cast out because it took until about 10 seconds ago before I really looked at it and realized it said the Clone Wars, not Attack of the Clones. I thought we were going to and I was going to be like, oh, I hate the Clone Wars. It's rough and coarse and irritating. But the animated one. Oh, all right. Revenge of the Sith.
That's fair.
Tell.
Yeah, I'm not usually really a fan of, and I don't know how fair this is, but I'm really not a fan of a lot of the Star Wars animated stuff. Like a lot of the times it just doesn't work for me. So this is a pretty easy one. I just Revenge of the Sith. I think, I don't know. I have a lot of love for the prequel movies. I always have. And whether they're the best movies or not has never really mattered all that much to me, just because I adore them, problems and all. So yeah, I'm going to pick Revenge of the Sith.
All right. With that, Revenge of the Sith makes it through. It was a fairly quick and painless one. All right. Next
Marisol,
we
how much do you
have
hate Clone Wars.
I don't hate it. It's just look, I don't hate it. It's just like it has none of the like you were saying, like emotional weight of Revenge of the Sith. It's an appendix. I'm sorry. It's an appendix in the saga for me.
It carries more weight in the Star Wars saga.
All right, let's move on.
Pretty strong. He can lift quite a bit.
Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer versus Shazam. Jesse, I'm going to start with you.
When we're looking at the upcoming bracket competitors, Lauren said, make sure that you fight for Shazam. And I was like, absolutely. I'm glad I shouldn't have to. I think Shazam is a fantastic movie. It's in the upper echelon of not just DCEU movies, but DC films. I love that it is unique in its tone. It nails it perfectly. I say it nails it perfectly, but then you are reminded it's a horror director in this scene or two, and you're like, whoa, that's jarring, but it's still fun. Zachary Levi it was one of those things where everybody was trying to throw their casting out for who Shazam should be. And Zachary Levi was casted, and I had a lot of friends like, oh no. And I was like, are you kidding me? That is like the best choice they could have made. And I think I was proven correct when I watched the movie. Mark Strong coming in and just Mark Stronging up the joint is always a good time. Yeah, so I don't have a whole lot to say. Rise of the Silver Surfer, nothing strong about it. It's kind of bad, but it's not the worst. But Shazam's a great movie, so that's it.
Mm-hmm. Robert?
Yeah, ultimately I'm going to go with Shazam as well. I think it probably is my favorite DCU movie. Rise of the Silver Surfer, though, it's interesting because compared to the first Fantastic Four movie, I think it has higher highs but also much lower lows. I think Galactus is just one of the lowest points that any Marvel non-MCU movie has gotten. But also there's like the power swapping stuff is sometimes interesting. The teaming up with Doctor Doom is interesting. I really like how they work with Silver Surfer, like determining that his board is his beacon. Like there is some stuff to like about Silver Surfer. Obviously, maybe one of the best Stan Lee cameos. But ultimately, yeah, lower lows for sure. And I think Shazam, of course, there are some problems with it because it's a DCU movie, so it's probably a little bit long, and the villain is probably a little bit generic. That's just kind of par for the course at this point. But I love the Shazamily. I like when he again, it's the sort of family you choose instead of the family you're dealt with. I think probably the most heartfelt scene in that movie is when Asher Angel Billy goes to see his mom. That scene is like heart-wrenching. It's so good. I really, really enjoy almost every scene in Shazam. So yeah, definitely have to go for that.
Marisol.
I like Silver Surfer more than the original Fantastic Four or the 2005 Fantastic Four. I do. It's mainly because of Fishburne, like and Doug Jones. I just think I remember the teaser trailer for Silver Surfer where like Silver Surfer like carries Johnny, Human Torch out into space and like drops him, and I just thought that was like, oh, that was like such a cool teaser, and that made me really want to see it. And the movie was definitely a mixed bag, but I just thought more interesting and absolutely a mixed bag. But it's really, really Silver Surfer that keeps that movie floating for me. Shazam is first off, Philly. Hello, I'm just happy every time I see Philly in a movie because it's the greatest city in the United States. Duh. But even though, and there actually are things, there's a bunch of things that definitely are not filmed in Philly, but there's a lot of things that are filmed in Philly, and that really, really excites me when I actually see a movie actually taking place in Philly, that instead of pretending like it is like Baby Mama or some shit. But I'm not over that. But Shazam, to me personally, hits that note, like you're saying, Parker, with the themes, choosing the family that you choose. I'm adopted. I'm an adopted kid, and that the whole foster child like storyline, this whole like fighting against the family you're choosing and realizing that the climax of the whole movie is how he's stronger together with the family that he's created, not the family that he had to leave, the family that he was born with and actually isn't the right fit for him, is one of the most thematically like most powerful things that I've seen in any superhero movie. Like it's so, it just hit me right there. It destroyed me, and it left such a big impact and just creates a glow around Shazam for me. I think that's a really powerful theme, more than anything that has to do with physical strength or like, just like believing in yourself or like pretty generic messages that we see a lot of the times. I like how small scale the adventure is in Shazam. I like how it's not like he has to save the planet or the planet's going to explode. Like, I just like how just like, it's just this little, it's really, really contained small scale villain and story. And the focus is really just on him discovering what matters to, like a 14-year-old kid when he becomes a superhero. And it's not like saving the planet. It's just like having fun. I just think Shazam is a great adaptation. I think it wins in a lot of ways. It's got heart for miles. I do think it's not even my favorite DCEU film, but it is. I still think it's one of the best, and it's one of the ones that means personally the most to me because of some of its themes. So I'm definitely picking it over Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a very interesting relationship with a lot of the DCEU films. I either tend to really enjoy them or I am very angry with them. There's not a lot of middle ground there for me a lot of the time. Shazam is a movie that I was very, very excited for, mostly because of the casting of Zachary Levi. I think that he's amazing in all of the things that he does. And I think that it was brilliant casting. To me, it just made sense as someone who had watched a lot of his work and felt that he could do really well in this role. And it was exciting to me. And I do think it's one of the bigger superhero movies that really does wear its heart on its sleeve. I think it's important in the story that it's trying to tell, and it's also a lot of fun. It's just very joyful in a lot of ways, and even in those darker kind of moments where it gets serious, it still has a very hopeful outcome. And I really appreciate that. I think it's just one that really resonated with me, that even though I haven't watched it a bunch of times, I still find myself thinking about it. So, yeah, and Silver Surfer, I think I've seen one time a long time ago, and I don't really remember much from it. So this is a pretty easy choice for me.
Mara.
Summer of 2007 was a wild time for Marvel. Sorry, I just had to throw that
It
in there.
was.
I'm gonna bounce.
Spider-Man 3,
incoherently.
Silver Surfer, and Ghost Rider all in the same summer. All right, I'm done.
What a time.
Ghost Rider.
Luckily, I was on deployment, so I actually got to miss a whole lot of that stuff and be like, oh yeah, I didn't see it. I was busy defending freedom or something. So I didn't have to go see it. But okay, I'm going to bounce around a little bit because I don't want to belabor the point. I have to acknowledge an especially hot cast in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Yes.
High marks all around. Also, lots of hotness in Shazam. I think that one of the reasons why Shazam works so well is because you can talk about these concepts and you can balance tone, but when you can tell it comes from a place of real sincerity, I think that's why it works. Like it feels wholesome, even though it's not childish. Like it's definitely made to be able to be watched by younger people, especially like with parents, to talk about some of the scarier things that you might see if kids are a little skittish. But it's also 100% thoroughly made for adults. It's almost a perfect 4-quadrant film, even though, and I think it's because it just has this cohesion of really strong, powerful things to say in a really approachable way. Also, just my one grievance with it, the one and only thing that I'm still very fiery and angry about is I 100% expected a cameo from Michael Gray, and I did not get one. So there. Besides that one
TV's Michael Gray. Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh my god, are you an Archer fan? Oh my god. Okay, that's an offline thing. Sorry, that's okay. We nerded out so much we lost Mara.
Her whole computer just broke and exploded.
So Archer is literally the show that we fall asleep watching every night. So
I think both of us can quote everything that's ever happened in that show. So anyway.
Yeah. No, we lost Mara.
I know.
No.
It was too powerful.
Well,
there was too much happening.
TV's Michael Gray. No. No, that sucks. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just gonna real quick talk about Shazam and how awesome it is
until we get
Mara back. I actually really love Shazam. I remember going in thinking I wasn't going to love it, and then it just ended up being this really awesome and amazingly kick-ass movie that I wasn't expecting it to be.
Grab my stuff.
like it's also it gets dark. Like it does get very dark very quickly in a lot of moments. But I think overall the movie works incredibly well for what it's trying to do, and also being that hey, we're coming off arguably the weakest period of the DCEU at that point. Like at that point, we're 2019, and Aquaman's just made $1 billion, but it wasn't as well received as they probably would have liked for a movie that made $1 billion. And yes, we have her back.
I don't know
Hey.
what happened. I'm sorry.
We just said your internet got so excited about Archer that it just didn't work.
It's okay. It was probably good to stop me there.
we will talk about Archer offline, but yes, that is literally my favorite TV show. So yeah.
So Shazam.
Yes, Shazam. So no, so you want to tell us about Shazam? We kept going. So.
Oh,
literally,
so
which
okay.
one are
It was
you
good to
picking?
probably stop me there. We're good.
Okay.
Shazam.
All right. All right. Well, with that, Shazam makes it through. Okay. Next, we go on to the one that gets Mara to swear at me again.
Oh, great. Great.
RoboCop versus Captain America: Civil War.
Number one, look, Jacob's an asshole.
Who wants to go first?
Oh,
All right,
Nose
Robert.
goes.
I can go right away. It's
right.
not a hard one for me. Just because of my age, I have very little nostalgia for RoboCop. I watched it for the first time, I think, last year, and then once more this year. It's very good. It definitely has a lot. It's a very jaded movie as far as its political commentary and its social commentary, and I respect it a lot for that. Actually, I think it doesn't shy away from the nihilism, which is very interesting, and seems very Paul Verhoeven from the few of his movies I've seen. But Civil War is just like far more special and important in my life. So absolutely Civil War for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jesse?
All right. Well, you guys really hurt me with Winter Soldier, so I'm hoping that this is Cap Strikes Back, but we'll see. RoboCop, I probably saw for the first time when I was about 13, when I finally started being like, yeah, there's movies I haven't seen that I don't own, and I'd like to go online and find them and watch them. RoboCop was one of those. And I did not know at the time that it was rated R. And when he got shot to shit at the beginning of that movie, my 13-year-old eyes got really big. And then you got Red Foreman as the villain, so that's iconic. But Civil War's, ironically, I don't love it as much as Winter Soldier, but I still do love it, and it is one of my favorite films. But it is, it's in a bottle, it exists because of all the other films. It's not like you can't say it stands alone as its own great film because it's dependent on so many other things. However, it's still going to be my vote because I would much rather watch it and I would much rather see it go further. And again, RIP, revenge for Winter Soldier. Damn it, Jacob. Civil War.
Marisol.
Oh, we have to. All right, I got to get in on this scrap. So there were a couple movies in 2016, superhero movies that came out about what would happen, if
not when I want you to take this side.
if superheroes, if they became the bad guys, if we were questioning ourselves about what role should they really play in society, blah 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 blah, and one of those ended with even though there's a couple questionable choices and has its flaws, ended with some serious stakes and death and really cinematically impressive and epic superhero battles. And the other one ended with pretty much a playground fight that took place at an airport where everybody's just kind of punching each other, not hurting each other. And it just ended with a fight that you knew nobody was going to die. It was pretty much a playground fight. That's what I feel like when I watch the end of Civil War. And it's something that is trying to match thematically what Dawn of Justice dove into in a much darker way. I'm not comparing those two movies. I'm comparing Civil War to RoboCop. So I'll steer away. I kind of touched on my feelings about Civil War. RoboCop, God bless Paul Verhoeven. Like RoboCop is a classic. It's a classic movie. It is a fun. It's, I think, really introduced. Please, somebody correct me if I'm so off with this. Like, I think it's one of, I don't know, maybe Americans' first introductions to his take, his angle, his super subtle, not necessarily subtle, subtle's not the word, really, really deft blend of action and satire, very thinly veiled satire, and dark humor. I think that there's so much more thematically interesting things going on in RoboCop. Talking about, privatizing crime and the dangers that poses. And there's so much to be angry about in RoboCop, legitimately to be angry about. There's stakes, there's death, there's actually things with a lot more gravitas that are happening in RoboCop. I'm not putting my thoughts together really, really well here. My point is that I think that RoboCop is a much more iconic movie than Civil War, which to me gets lost in the whole machine. Civil War is a movie moving along the assembly line of MCU movies, I think, which that's how I feel about it. And I think it is, if you are caught up, I think looking at it in the MCU, I think that it will be exciting in the MCU, but as looking at superheroes more objectively, looking at those films more objectively, and looking for, I guess, darker takes on my superhero stories, it doesn't crack it for me. It doesn't get it done. I just feel the stakes aren't there, and I'm not thrilled by the climax of that movie, because I know it's just a stepping stone to the next film. And I'm not here to bash that movie. I'm here to just champion RoboCop because I think that it's a great movie. Those are my messy thoughts. Those are my messy thoughts. RoboCop all the way.
Mara.
Okay. I share every single bit of Jesse's ire at Winter Soldier. Just want to make sure I put that back out into the world. I really, really like Civil War. I think it is very fun. I revisit it very frequently. It's a great rewatch. I love a good romance. I think Zemo personally is a very underrated villain because, I mean, he fights tactically with his intellect to cultivate a situation in which people destroy themselves, which, I mean, I like a good brainy villain, and I get the criticisms, and that's totally fine. Like, he's not for everybody. I also really do love the three-way fight between Winter Soldier, Cap, and Iron Man at the end, and the whole "you were my friend," blah, blah, blah stuff. That I really like it. That being said, if this were Winter Soldier, I would have a really, really angry, violent response towards you. And I'm not pleased with you, but I legitimately think that RoboCop is a perfect movie. I absolutely love its tone. I love its message. It's him at his finest, I think. I also have a great deal of respect for the fact that they did not have computer generated effects to the extreme at that time. Like, most of it holds up, some of it doesn't. Like the really, really long arms with Dick Jones. But like, I love the practical effects. The physicality of RoboCop is something that I don't think people appreciate as much as they should. And I don't in any way begrudge someone like voting for a movie just because it is like more fun or more rewatchable. But I think there might be an ounce of recency bias, or like people not affording RoboCop its due only because like it's like a really like sleeper good movie. Like, I know people hold it in high regard, but when people talk about like what are the best movies ever made, RoboCop is never on a list, and that's totally okay. But to me and to Dan, who literally said he will not address this because he assumes that Civil War will win. But just to defend its honor, I 100% say RoboCop. But again, I won't be angry if Civil War makes it through because at least Captain America will be seen somewhere in this bracket further on. Winter Soldier was done dirty.
Hey, First Avenger is still somewhere in this bracket. I can't remember if it's actually already gone.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't think we've
Tell.
done Avenger.
I don't know what to do with this.
That's fair.
Well, I've seen clips of RoboCop, but I haven't actually seen RoboCop. So this is another one where it's just like, I feel like a fraud trying to vote for this because Captain America Civil War is my least favorite Captain America film, easily. I think it's a fun film. I think there's a lot to appreciate about it inside of the Marvel Universe. But to me, like, calling it a Captain America film makes me a little bit sad. I don't know. I mean, I guess I have to vote for Civil War because I haven't seen RoboCop. Like, I could do the chaos vote and be like, hey, maybe RoboCop is cool.
Do you want me to give you? Okay.
That maybe is a very strong word. It is cool.
Okay,
It is
so
pretty good.
I would have voted RoboCop.
You would vote RoboCop.
I would vote RoboCop.
Okay, so where does that leave us?
That leaves us with Lauren running in and telling us that Civil
Dan's
War
vote
wins.
counts. Dan. My buddy. Oh my god. I missed him.
Yeah. So
And
I think
Sir
that
Pounce's vote counts. Hello.
Yeah.
We didn't ask Sir Pounce.
Sir Pounce, play with the toy if you want RoboCop to win.
Oh, what?
See?
Okay,
What?
that still didn't answer my question of where that leaves us.
Full out.
that leaves us with he's disappeared, but that leaves us with Civil War making it through.
Wait,
Sorry. It's tied up. If you have the deciding vote, Lauren's voting Civil War, you have the deciding vote.
Right. Cool. Hate that.
Oh my god.
And he's changed his shirt
How much
again.
votes do you own, man?
I also have a Captain America shirt, but I definitely don't own those guns.
Man. Well, see, that just makes me feel like I don't know.
RoboCop has a dick get shot off. Does that help?
Because like because
Nobody
Because I
gets
feel
doused
like-
in toxic waste in Civil War. That's actually true.
Ooh, we have RoboCop trading cards upstairs.
Okay,
that
hold on,
Taylor
I
has
mean,
as a
Think
child.
of a movie that you haven't even seen. That's probably your answer. Imagine if you see it.
hold on. I need to do a real quick research.
Oh, she's doing. Oh, I think
Hold
she's
on.
doing.
Doing a Rotten
Oh,
Tomatoes check.
Oh,
no, I
dear,
think
this
she's
is
doing.
not
I
gonna
think
end
she's
well.
doing a. I think
Don't
she's
do
doing
the
the
Rotten
thirst.
Tomatoes check. That's
She's
so,
doing no. She's
it's not.
she's doing the thirst.
Can someone
check.
text
I
Adam,
think-
please?
Oh.
I feel like Adam is going to be on our side with this one.
Adam will defend. He will defend the shit out of RoboCop.
Yeah,
You're
I
looking
don't.
at Peter Weller. All I'm gonna say is Chris Evans is gonna beat Peter Weller every day.
No,
of the week.
I'm not. No, I'm trying to just get an
Peter
idea
Weller,
here.
Peter Weller as RoboCop. All
I'm
right.
just trying to get an idea here of what I'm looking
After his
at.
accident.
Somewhere Chris Evans
And are we
going,
talking-
"What the
Okay,
shit?"
okay. I feel like
It's an important
feel like-
clarification.
if I vote
There's
for
a lot of
Civil War,
posts here. You need
if
to.
I vote for Civil War, it is going to be like a thirst thing. However, you're right. You're right. I feel like that's right. I feel like that's probably right. But my problem is you've got people going, oh, Adam would probably vote for RoboCop. Oh, Dan would vote for RoboCop. And I feel like they have both seen both of these movies.
I mean, okay. If you want to go down that angle,
I don't know if Dan's seen Civil War.
we can go. I mean, if you want to go down
Right
that,
now.
if you want to go down that angle, I mean, they do normally have votes, so
But that's what I'm saying.
it's up to you.
I'm using my executive power and I'm ceding the deciding votes to those two people.
All right,
Wow.
And
Marisol, do you want to text Adam? Or do you just want to give? Or actually, no, Mara. Just Dan. Dan has the
Have
deciding
Dan.
vote. Dan has
Make
the
Dan
deciding vote.
decide.
Dan has deciding vote
Because I feel like this is not fair for such a big
for someone who
matchup.
hasn't seen it.
That's
Someone
what
who
I'm
hasn't
saying.
seen
That's
it.
This is
fair.
such a
That's
big
true.
matchup, and I have not seen RoboCop, so I'm not gonna do that. Like, I need someone who's seen both of them to do this. I feel like that's not fair. Yeah, this is basically what this has turned into.
Oh man.
For the
I don't know if
record,
Lauren-
We have a resounding,
Wait.
wait. We have a resounding. Where's
I
that?
can't see any of what's
I know,
happening
hold on,
here
I'm working on
on
it.
anyone's.
Resounding.
Robocop.
Okay.
Emphatic RoboCop.
Okay. What? Okay. There we go. All right.
And
Okay.
all right, ladies and gentlemen,
I tried, Jesse.
RoboCop 1987 has made it
Hi.
through. Oh, we just pissed off everybody.
Okay, I just want to say, I feel like that was the only fair way to do it because I feel like
Jacob's an asshole. Jacob's an asshole.
I feel like that was the only fair way to go about that because I just don't have I can't. I'm not going to be that person.
I'm going to need this next week off. I'm glad I'm getting married.
Which is interesting because this is the only reason you're glad you're getting married. So it's
and I do want to say, if this was either of the other two Captain America movies, I would have been like, fuck it. I know what I'm voting for. But because of the Civil War and it's my least favorite of the three, I'm not that passionate about it.
You realize now that Jesse and Lauren are going to take their honeymoon to Australia and they're going to sit outside your windows and tap on your door.
So I've got you. So okay, so you're not as angry with me anymore because RoboCop made it through, so that's fine. But you're still angry at me about Civil War. I've got Winter Soldier. Sorry, I got PJ flying in to murder me
about Rocketeer
Me
because of
and
Rocketeer.
PJ are going to share a room.
I've got and now I've got Jesse and Lauren coming here because of Civil War. Okay.
I don't want to murder you. I just want to torture you and then make you live a disfigured life.
Okay.
I mean,
fair.
Yeah, just joking. I adore it.
Mark Knopik starring in Misery 2.
All right. What's next?
Hey, we have a bit of a palate cleanser, just a little bit. Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance versus Dread. Jesse, do you want to go first?
That was so tense.
Dread, you son of a bitch.
Robert.
Dude, Dread fucking rocks. That movie is so
Dread does rock.
Dread might be
an ongoing conversation about how Dread was probably the second best comic book movie in 2012.
Yeah.
After Dark Knight Rises? No. I can't even say that joke.
Avengers and Dread.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Dread rocks. Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance actually does have some fun stuff. Neville and Taylor are doing some wax. They are going for it. Idris Elba is going for it. So I respect it. It's fun. It is a fun watch. It's horrible, but it's a fun watch. It's one of those that just you can have a couple drinks or other consumables of your choice and watch Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance and have a great time. But Dread is a properly brilliant movie.
Mara.
Dread. I require no more words.
Fair. Marisol.
Yeah, I'm in the same way. Any positives you were saying, and maybe that was probably it. Like Parker, that hey, at least they're trying. Those are just sympathy. Those are just polite, pity compliments that you give Spirit of Vengeance. It doesn't even hold a candle. Dread was I had no expectations going into Dread when I saw it, and I was just so pleasantly. I think a lot of people were just pleasantly surprised at how fucking gung ho and badass it was, and absolutely Dread.
Also, Dread supposedly shadow directed by Alex Garland, which you can totally tell when you watch that. There's that influence there. Yeah,
100%.
Love it.
Sorry, that private chat Yeah, I mean, I'll go with Dread. It's fine. Like
You really did not like Spirit of Vengeance.
Spirit of Vengeance. You know what? Ghost Rider, the first one was like, we're gonna give you all of the Nicolas Cage yeehaw energy, and you're gonna be in it, and it's gonna be a time. And then Spirit of Vengeance, I was like, okay, no, I'm not even having fun with like, this isn't even coming back around to be so bad that I'm having fun with it like the first one did. So I will vote for Dread.
All right. Well,
Ghost Rider did have scraping at the door though. That whole freak out scene where it's like it's scraping at the door. That's if you look up that scene, it's pretty remarkable, Cage.
But in Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance, he pisses flames, so you have that too. So
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
so we all back on the same nice palate cleanser. We're all chill. Okay, fair enough.
No, yeah, Jesse.
Well, okay. Next up,
You tried. But
I tried.
Yeah,
Will I be wearing
tried.
this in the next show? Possibly.
Next up, we have Kick-Ass versus Men in Black International. I'm going to go to Taylor. I'm going to start with you, actually.
Okay, this is an interesting one for me. Kick-Ass is never a movie that I was as high on as everybody else. I was entertained by it. I thought it was fun. And then we rewatched it 2 years ago.
No, last year.
We rewatched it, and I was like, wow, this actually is even worse. Like, it has not aged well for me at all. It just, a lot of the relationships in it and the way that they're handled doesn't work for me. I think the script is kind of messy. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. I watched it and went, I'm just not really enjoying a lot of this. So, I mean, Men in Black International, I didn't hate as much as everyone else seemed to. I mean, it's not particularly memorable. But I also can name a lot of movies in IG that are worse than this for me. But this is very much like I don't really want to put either of them on. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know about this one. This, I think just because I can, for thirst cast reasons and because of Tessa Thompson, I'm gonna go with Men in Black International. That's just where I'm going with this.
Okay. Mara.
Men in Black International does something really interesting. It has a cast of like thoroughly attractive people. Like, you've got Rafe Spall. Yeah, I know, you knew I was going to start there. But then you got Tessa. You've got Hemsworth. You've got Kumail. Oh yeah, definitely. And so on and so forth. But it didn't grab me. Like, it has moments. It definitely has some entertaining things and has some moments, but I love Kick-Ass. I love it so much. I love its horrible messages. I love that it's a terrible impression on young people. I really, really love that movie. I could go into the whys, but I think it's pretty clear that it doesn't always send good and clear messages, and I don't even care. And it also has like Nick Cage treading that line between, like, I call it little Cage and then like extra large Cage, like Moonstruck and Leaving Las Vegas. Those are little Cage. And then you've got like Face Off. That's like extra large Cage. And I feel like this kind of weaves a little bit in and out of that territory. And so I'm a big fan. So despite all the hotness in MIB International, I'm going to go with Kick-Ass.
Okay, I have once again been abandoned, so who would like to go next? Anyone who wants?
I can go. Oh, Jessica.
All right.
Or Marisol.
I just hope that Jacob knows if he's leaving the stream, he has to change his shirt. Mara, I think you forgot to mention Kumail Nanjiani.
Oh no, I said Kumail. I did.
Oh, did you? Okay, I missed it. All right.
That's okay.
What it has for me. I always reference Perfectly Done from Men in Black International, and that's about it. That's all I remember from that movie. It didn't leave a big impression on me. I am a fan-ish of Kick-Ass. Like, I enjoy it, so I guess it puts me under the fan category. When it came out, it's all that my friends were talking about, is how great this movie was, and I probably didn't watch it until like 4 years later. And I was like, oh yeah, it's fine. What it reminds me of is one of my favorite movies of all time is Mystery Men. And this is like, what would really happen is kind of what Kick-Ass feels like. And so that's an interesting way to go. It's fun. It's one of those things where retroactively I read the comics later, and the comics made me like the movie less. So that's, but it's cool. It's one of the good Matthew Vaughn movies. Kick-Ass, please, and thank you. Is my vote.
Marisol?
Yeah, this is a curious match. I'm not super thrilled, over the moon about either of these movies. I think I have a weird relationship with like particularly Matthew Vaughn's adaptations of like Mark Millar's comics. There's just like a mean streak in them. They're just like a little too mean spirited, and that's certainly started
from Nemesis.
Yeah, I know that Kick-Ass was a hit, but like you were saying, Mara, I'm like I like it. I like it enough. Wasn't a home run for me. And yeah, there's a little bit. There's a temperature with them where they lean a little bit too just mean spirited. I love dark humor. I love dark shit. I love fucked up humor, and I really enjoy that when it's done. But it's you have to get the pitch perfect in order to really pull that off. And there's something just a little off key in Kick-Ass, though I think it's certainly stronger than Kick-Ass 2. It's still solid. It's still fun. I understand why it was a hit in like 2010. It's still fun enough. Men in Black International, unfortunately, like just sucks the personality and the humor out of the series. I don't know what is F. Gary Gray's deal, because I think he's a great director. But he just F. Gary Gray clearly didn't give a F with this movie. And he just loves like coming in and directing like the worst films in like established franchises. And I think that compared to the dynamic between Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith in the movie, Thompson and really big shoes to fill. And the choice of the scriptwriters is to play them just straight men. They're just not. Hemsworth is not a comedian. We are always happy when we see him be the funny man in like Vacation or like Ghostbusters, when he like leans into like a little more comedic role, but he's not funny enough to be the more comedic character out of the two of them. And Tess is so straight. She's such a straight man. It's just not an interesting relationship. It's bland. It's just a blander movie. And until Men in Black 2, it was, I think I get a little angrier when I watch Men in Black 2, because I think that one's actually kind of bad, but at least it has like oodles more personality and just swings and misses than Men in Black International, which is just, again, does maybe one of the bigger crimes in actually being a bad film is just being a completely mediocre film, and completely bland. And I think by the time you're the fourth film into the Men in Black franchise, and this was supposed to be the reboot, I think that's unforgivable. And International is just such a forgettable entry. I would easily watch Men in Black 2 over Men in Black International. And even though I'm not like over the moon about Kick-Ass, it's definitely going to be International for at least being a film with more memorable parts in it and more bite. Yeah, Kick-Ass.
And Parker.
I will try to go quick because actually I have like a decent amount to say about both of these. Matthew Vaughn might be my favorite director working right now. I haven't seen Layer Cake, but everything from Stardust to Kings of the Golden Circle I have loved. I love the dark humor. I love how mean spirited they are. I love Golden Circle. I love Kick-Ass. I love Stardust is one of my favorite fantasy films of all time. Like I love everything that Matthew Vaughn has ever directed that I've ever seen, including Kick-Ass. I was pretty sheltered as a kid. Kick-Ass was the first rated R movie I ever saw. True story. Well, it's not true. Passion of the Christ, because that's the household I was raised in.
Oh, you're sorry.
Yeah. Kick-Ass was the first rated R movie that I saw of my own volition.
I want to watch that double feature.
I'm not gonna lie, I just feel incredibly aged when you say that. Like, I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I love Kick-Ass so much. I think it's the perfect Cage performance. I think it's Mark Strong doing like we've had 3 movies tonight about like Mark Strong being a villain in a comic book movie, and this is his best one. I think Christopher Mintz-Plasse is hilarious. Aaron Taylor Johnson does a great job. I love Kick-Ass, but I also like really like Men in Black International. I have very little nostalgia, very little emotional connection to any of the Men in Black movies. So Men in Black International for me, with the visual effects and actors that I cared about a little bit more, it was a movie that I really, really enjoy. I really like this movie. I really like the arc that they take Chris Hemsworth's character, how he's sort of a womanizer, but he's also like a sort of a lonely guy. Like I think that's just things like that. I think there were a lot of thematic choices in this movie that I really like. Camille Angiani, hilarious as always. Rebecca Ferguson, she's an arms dealer with 3 arms. I know it's dumb, but that's really funny to me. So I think I like Men in Black International more than anybody I've ever met. It is probably my favorite Men in Black movie. Yeah, I know. I don't care about the original one like at all. I really enjoy this movie, but ultimately, I know. I'm sorry, Marisol. I'm sorry.
You've seen the other ones, right? You've seen them?
Oh yeah. I think the reaction you just had is when you said you'd rather watch Men in Black 2 than any other film ever. Men in Black 2 is garbage.
I'd rather watch it over International.
I think Men in Black 2 is like in the top 10 worst IG movies. Men in Black 2 is terrible. 15 maybe, not 10, 15. So I really, really
dude, there's 5 Transformers movies.
I know, that's why I said 15 instead of 10. Top 10, you're right. Top 10 is a hot take. That's why I said I forgot about the Transformers series. Because why would you think about the Transformers series? So like I have no connection to the Men in Black franchise. I love Men in Black 3 and International more than the others. Men in Black 3 is anyways, Kick-Ass is moving on because Matthew Vaughn isn't. I really like everything he's ever directed, but I really love Men in Black International more than most people.
All right. And with that, Kick-Ass does move on.
Sorry, I said I was going to keep that short, and then I didn't. So
that's the theme of this show. I just want you to know you're fitting in perfectly.
You are. All right, let's get on to our
this is the last one.
Last matchup of the day.
Yeah.
No.
We've flown through this one. All right, we have Batman. Whoa.
Oh, sorry.
Batman Forever versus the 2019 Hellboy movie.
Yo, bro, this is easy.
Jesse, I'm going to start with you since it's easy.
I want to say it was Marisol. Somebody was talking about the trailer for Hellboy 2019, and it was like, yes. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. I was like, this looks incredible, and it's going to be rated R. And you get a horror director that was it The Descent? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Sorry, Neil Marshall? Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and I was like, this is gory. I was like, if you can't get Ron Perlman back, David Harbour seems like the choice. And then like Ian McShane's going to be in there. You're going to get into some of the characters that are big in the comics that we still haven't seen yet. And I was like, everything about this, firing on all cylinders, looks gritty. Let's go. Ugh. I was so mad throughout the entirety of that movie. I was like, this is just bad. And it keeps getting worse. And I was so sad because David Harbour was trying. And he was such a good choice for the role. So yeah, painful. Batman Forever, I grew up with. It's a mid-90s movie. I'm a 93 baby. So like I grew up watching this movie over and over again. And it was always fun to me as a kid. And I think growing up, when you start getting the Dark Knights and stuff coming out, you just look back at it and shift focus as to what it is. It's not the Tim Burton movie. It's the Schumacher films are kind of an homage to the Adam West era. At least it feels like that's how I justify it to myself. Batman and Robin even more so. But Forever is fun in a cartoon come to live action kind of way. And if you look at it like this is fun Batman, it doesn't take itself too seriously. I think it's a great watch. I really don't have any problems with it. Like for it being that, Hellboy is all problems, all the time. It's got 99 problems, and I never want to watch it again. It hurt. Mila Jovovich should have been a good choice too, but she wasn't. It was the worst thing she's ever done, and she's done Resident Evil movies. A lot of them. Batman Forever, baby.
All right, Marisol.
Yeah, this is an easy one without even being like I don't share like the adoration for Batman Forever, but it's definitely better than 2019's Hellboy. I do have adoration for Del Toro's Hellboy movies, particularly the first one, and I guess that's all I was comparing it to when watching the Marshall one. Misfires for all the reasons that you're saying. And I think the reason why a lot of us get so frustrated is because of the potential of it, because of how excited a lot of us were with it. I wasn't asking for a new Hellboy movie because I really enjoy the 2004 Del Toro one. But I was ready for it, and yeah, absolutely a disappointment. Batman Forever is trekking that it was before Schumacher. Schumacher's Batman film was my least favorite period of Batman on film. But Forever is still definitely stronger than Batman and Robin. And Val Kilmer is serviceable. Serviceable, not as much of I think a mismatch as Clooney was for the character. He's serviceable. I'm sorry, it's the best thing I can say about him. I sound like I'm insulting Batman Forever. My point is that it's much better than Hellboy. I'm losing my train of thought. That's the most interesting thing I could say. I'm sorry. My vote goes to Batman Forever. Please, everybody articulate much better than I can.
Mara?
I'm sorry. Wait. This is the movie The Kiss from a Rose is from, right?
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, Batman Forever.
This is so weird. Dan and I were talking about this in the shower yesterday.
Rose. Yeah, wait, I'm done. That was the only point I needed to make. Batman
Mara.
Damn.
Yes, Jesse, that was me. That Hellboy trailer had me like fired up. I was like, okay, I didn't ask for this movie, but I could be totally into this movie. Like, this could be amazing. And then I wasn't able to see it at a screening with Dan. So I think I saw it at like ArcLight Hollywood in the middle of the day. There were like 3 other people in the theater, and they were like way down, like center, peak optimum seating, like 2/3.
Can I just say it was metal as fuck though, right? Like that trailer was the most metal thing I've ever seen. He's like riding on a dragon with the flaming sword and the horns. I was like, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Flaming crown and everything. I was just like, gimme. And then I was sitting in the back corner, so that way I would bother no one. And I'm texting Dan the entire movie, and I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? Are they pranking me? Is this like just a joke print that is in my theater and my theater only? What is happening? What is wrong with this? I should have pulled up the text chain. I knew we were going to do it this week. I should have pulled it up because I still have the messages. It was scathing. As far as the obviously Burton versus Schumacher, totally different. I love the Burton aesthetic. Schumacher Gotham is my least favorite Gotham, just scheme wise. I just don't like it. But that's because I'm dead inside. But out of those 3 Batmen from those 4 movies, I think that Clooney was a great Bruce Wayne, but a bad Batman. And I think that Kilmer was a great Batman, but a bad Bruce Wayne. And I think that Michael Keaton is perfect, and we should just let him be like that forever. And I think that he was a really great, like, I'm not saying that these are like above or below any of the other people that have played Batman, but just out of those 4. But even saying that, when you look at the pieces of food that got put into the stew that became Batman Forever, like, you've got like Academy caliber actors in this movie. Like, you've got Val Kilmer, you've got Tommy Lee Jones, like fresh off The Fugitive. Carrie was at the height of his powers, some could say. Like, I'm kind of the same way with Carrie that I am about Cage. I don't love huge Carrie. It doesn't quite do it for me, but I still really like the performance. And I mean, Schumacher is and can be a great director, and he definitely has a vision. It doesn't always work for me. But when you look at that movie, they could have really made something great. It's like taking a cupcake and a brownie and a cookie, and like they're all different flavors though. Like you've got a carrot cake cupcake, you've got a blondie brownie, and you've got like a white chocolate macadamia nut cookie. If you like put them all in a bowl and throw ice cream on it, it's not going to taste good, even though you've got a lot of great ingredients there. So despite all of this, despite all of these things though, I'm going to say that I wholeheartedly would rather watch Batman Forever, flaws and all, only because even though I love a good hate watch, Hellboy was so like emotionally draining for me because that trailer was just tight. So Batman Forever.
Robert.
I'm definitely not doing this just to be a contrarian, but I'm a Hellboy apologist. And I think there's a lot of bad things in that movie, but I think Batman Forever is the worst Batman movie. I think that movie is atrocious. I hate Batman Forever. I know, I'm sorry, but like, I don't need Nicole Kidman undressing herself next to the bat signal being like, ooh, black leather. Like that movie.
90s Nicole Kidman. 90s Nicole Kidman.
I don't need that happening to Batman. Like, cut Batman out of the frame, fine. But like,
Kidman could do that to anyone. There's no to justify my Nicole Kidman movie.
Val Kilmer in the middle of the circus stands up and goes, "Harvey, I'm Batman." That happens in this movie. It's Tommy Lee Jones. You can see the hate in his eyes for Jim Carrey. He's trying to be Jim Carrey. I love many. So the thing is, I grew up with good Batman movies, and you all grew up with bad Batman movies.
For the record, he's in the division because he got 2 perfect rounds and stole a point because he's a bastion.
I'm gonna prank Tommy Lee Jones so hard when you get here.
Tommy Lee Jones is doing a Jim Carrey impression, and it's horrid. It's the worst Batman. I think Batman movies, especially more than any other superhero movie, are defined by their villains. And I think Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face is the worst Batman villain ever put to screen. He's terrible in this movie. I think I just also don't like 90s Jim Carrey, this big zany physical comedy. It's just not something that appeals to me. So I don't like what he's doing in this movie when he's caffeine will kill ya and surfs up big kahuna. Like that shit just isn't funny to me. It's just really annoying. I have no love for Batman Forever whatsoever. Hellboy 2019 is bad. Daniel Day Kim is fine in it. David Harbour is good in the role. I think it goes off the rails when which half? I think it goes off the rails when you get to like Sasha Lang's character where she's like, you know, talking to the dead, and we get the pig with puts the tongue in its own mouth. Like the Baba Yaga scene is like pure Hellboy. It's like fucking nasty and it's gross and it makes you cringe. I will give you the Baba Yaga. That is pure Hellboy. The biggest sin that this show ever did was make the Snyder Cut win against Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. I'm fucking furious that happened. Hellboy 2: The Golden Army is one of the best IG movies. It's a perfect movie. So I've ranted for a while. Sorry, but like Batman Forever has like I would rather watch Batman and Robin. Like at least some people know what movie they're in. Tommy Lee Jones is just trying to like push Jim Carrey off the screen in every single scene, and the effects are horrible. The look of Gotham, like Mara said, is terrible. I hate Batman Forever so much. It is a hard watch. I don't the costumes look okay, but like man, I have no love for Batman Forever. And Hellboy 2019, at least I admire some of the things that it was trying to do. Even if it didn't successfully achieve them, there's still some admiration. Also, Neil Marshall directed 2 of the 3 best episodes of Game of Thrones. He did Battle of the Bastards, or no, not Battle. He did Battle of the Wall, and he did Battle of Blackwater. So put some respect on Neil Marshall's name.
I did. But Kiss from a Rose, Robert.
Okay, so if I want to listen to Kiss from a Rose, I'll listen to Kiss from a Rose. I don't have to watch Batman Forever.
Oh man,
I am very salty. I hate Batman Forever so much.
If you skip me, I will literally
I
throw
wasn't
you.
about to-
You were about to say, well, that was fun, guys. I will literally throw you out a window if you skip me. I will throw you out of a window on a live stream. I will do it.
Okay.
You guys only have a one-story house, though. I think.
No, I know we do.
I don't know about that. I'm pretty worked up today. Okay, so first of all, fucking this goddamn Hellboy movie took every hope I had for anything in the world and destroyed it. It literally is so bad. I was sitting there in the theater going, Jacob, why the hell did you make me come see this movie with you? You do this to me all the time where I know there's a movie I don't want to see, and then I end up suffering because I know it's going to be bad, and it was horrendous. It was so horrible. I never want to think about it ever again for any reason. Even the good things are bad because it was so bad. Like, there's nothing good that can come out of this movie for any reason whatsoever. I did not grow up with these Batman movies. I had not seen Batman Forever. I hadn't seen any of the Burton films until about 2 years ago. So I don't have a nostalgia factor for them. But honestly, like, they are kind of everything I'm about. They just make these very bold stylistic choices. They make very bold costume choices. They really are they're very campy in a lot of ways. They're just very out there. And although things don't always work for them, I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know if the fact that I don't have any emotional connection to them because I didn't grow up with them makes me more or less critical of them watching them now. But I really have a lot of fun with this movie. And even though it doesn't pay off always with the decisions that it makes, I think it's very bold in the things that it's trying to do. And I really respect that, especially with a lot of the movies in this genre we get now are very muted in terms of palette, color palette, in terms of set design. A lot of the time, we don't really get this kind of thing as much. So I really appreciate it. And Hellboy can go fucking jump off a cliff and die a fiery death.
Or it could go to hell. You missed the easy joke.
No. Hell would be like giving
Gets
it a
off too
gift.
easy.
That's where he wants.
Yeah.
That's where he wants to be. We don't want to do that.
Well, with that, Batman Forever makes it through. And guys, that is the end of this week's bracket. We made it through. Guys, we are like massively over a quarter of the way through. We still have we're on this. We've got 3 more weeks of round ones left. 3 more round one brackets to go, and then we go all the way through again.
Yep. I
Jacob,
think,
show us what'll make us angry at you next week.
yeah, I think it's time for sneak peek for next
All right,
week.
sneak peek for next week.
Civil War.
All right. Well, I should probably drop.
You should probably remove the freaking thing.
Oh,
Banner.
there's your
All right.
turbo.
So here are the movies for
Superman
next.
the movie.
Wow.
So
that's
for
actually a decent
next
list.
week, we have
Wow.
Alien Resurrection, Captain Marvel, From Hell, Heavy Metal, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, Spawn, Man of Steel, Jurassic World, Transformers Dark of the Moon, Mad Max Fury Road, the first Men in Black, Pirates of
Put
the
some
Caribbean,
respect on
Dead
it,
Man's
Parker.
It's very
Pirates of the
good.
Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Snowpiercer, Superman the Movie, Ready Player One, The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Transformers, Age of Extinction, Star Trek Nemesis, Amazing Spider-Man 2, Mad Max, Sky High, The Green Hornet, Watchmen, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, Wanted, Turbo, a Power Rangers movie, Terminator Genesis, Terminator Salvation, Dark Phoenix, and Matrix Revolutions.
Wow.
Ooh.
So that's
Fights. I can
Wow.
tell, but I know my own taste. I know there's going to be fights.
Yeah.
so okay.
Actually, a lot of
Let's
good movies in that next week.
all right. Let's do some matchups.
We'll do some
Start
previews.
cracking
All
up.
right.
What's
Oh.
That's not hard.
Oh, damn it, Jesse. You're not on next week. All right, I got to do this joke now.
Oh no! So mean.
Oh no.
That's brutal. That's brutal.
Oh, love it.
I got this after my match, by the way.
Love it.
Hold on. I want to put this up because this is 100,000% correct. Brandy, yes.
You can use my. I'm probably not on next week, so you can use my vote. Sky High for sure.
Oh, that's fine.
Those both suck.
All right.
I need one that will make everyone mad.
See,
Okay.
if you try to find it.
Oh.
Did you finally wake up?
All right. Well,
So yeah, so that's next week. By the end of this show, Mara is just like going to hate me.
Impossible.
Oh,
Take painkillers next week, and I won't remember the episode anyway.
fair enough. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Robert, Parker, where can the people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at thatmara. You can find I do a show every Saturday with Trevor called The Dungeon. The Basement, excuse me, it's called The Basement. That's on Saturdays. It's a live stream. And yeah, you can, that's about it. I don't think there's, what other plugs do you do, Mara?
I sometimes plug Dan's Patreon.
Oh, you can find Dan and I on Patreon at patreon.com/Dan Merle Movies.
Thank you very much. Mara, where can people find you online?
I'm some version of no vowels, Parker something. I have a luscious beard now, despite my boyish picture in the thumbnail. I like to challenge authority and make Mara angry, and I would really like to be invited back next week because the joyous event of the Jackal's marriage means that there's going to be a vacancy. So, Robert Parker, would love to be invited back. I'm also going to be visiting Mara in October, so very exciting news there. I can't wait to see Sir Pounce. He's the best. I'm a proud member of the Dungeon. I'm going through the Inner Geekdom tournament right now. I just beat Ethan Irwin. Like, I am riding high in these spirits. And Mara is my best friend, and she's the best at all things.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. How's someone gonna beat? Who's next? Who's gonna beat that?
Marisol, where can people find you online?
Nowhere. I don't socialize. I'm not a social person. I begrudgingly make appearances on Twitter sometimes, but more enthusiastically talk about movies and log movies I watch on Letterboxd. My handle is the same, Marisol at Marisol _MIRIAH on Letterboxd and Twitter, and then get tickets because in a couple weeks I'm going to play for the singles title belt. The singles title. I'm going to play for the singles belt in a few weeks, and I'm really excited. And I think it's going to be a really great match against a really great opponent. So come to LA or watch it when it airs on the SEN network.
All right. Thank you very much, Marisol. And Jesse.
Well, I'm not as clever and quippy as Robert or Mara. You guys can find me here a lot of the times right here on this channel doing this bracket dealio. But I got so invested in the lineup that I was like, oh, wait, I actually won't be here because, yes, indeed, we are getting married and that is going to be fantastic. And we'll probably, hopefully, if we're invited back on after how much we'll be raging in the chat for the following week. Anyways, you can find me on right up here. Look at this. Like, this is a gift I got. My Flickin' Reel right here. The Flickin' Reel fan cast. We talk about movies and comic material and stuff like that. And Ironically, this is a skateboard, and I might start doing a skateboarding podcast on there sometime next month. So that's fun stuff. Switched up a little bit. Anyways, yeah, thanks for sitting through my awkwardness.
Jesse, thank you so much for joining us. And you and Lauren are both always welcome. You know that. Thanks, mate. Good luck next weekend and congratulations.
Thank you.
Guys, that was fun.
It was.
That was a lot of
good
fun.
one.
That was absolutely a lot of fun.
We're gonna have a fun lineup next
we are.
week. We're going to miss Jesse and Lauren.
We are
very
definitely
much.
going to, but
But we're gonna do our best to still be as awesome.
Yes.
It's gonna be good.
Absolutely. Well, before we go, I do want to plug our new show that will be airing in 48 hours on this channel. We, of course, have our first episode of Inside the Iconography, where Video Drew and Adam and us went through the filmography of one David Lynch, and we had a conversation talking about his filmography and looking at what makes him tick as a director. And it was a really great conversation, and I cannot wait to share it with all of you this Tuesday right here on the Finally Tailored channel.
Yeah, it's a fun episode. I'm very excited for everyone to see it. I think it's gonna be good.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
If you guys want to find us on social media, all the links are down in the description. We have our Patreon link down there. We're usually yelling about things on Twitter. If you want to talk to us, that's probably where we are most of the time, other than this channel. But thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. We love having you guys on the chat, playing along with us, getting angry at Jacob, as you do on this show. But we really appreciate everyone taking the time to hang out.
Thank you very much, guys, and we will see you next week.